And welcome everybody to the Jim Master Show live entertainment lifestyle talk show series, the show that is designed to put smiles on your face and also connect all of us all around the world. I'm your host, Jim Masters. We thank you for joining us from all around the world. We have an international audience here on JMS Live, and we welcome every single one of you. I see so many of you are smiling because we're here. You're smiling because you know you're going to be inspired and entertained, and that's pretty cool. That's what we're all about. We started the show almost a year ago now, coming up on our 1 year anniversary as a traditional entertainment lifestyle talk show series, sort of bringing back the old school way of having conversations like Dick Cavett, Dick Clark, Johnny Carson, Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas, some of the real legendary talk show hosts did. I'm a professional television and radio host and personality, presenter, MC, stage performer, voiceover artist, writer, producer, journalist, actor. And about a year ago, we turned on the lights and we said, hey, I think my hat's going to fly off like Mary Tyler Moore did. If we were in Minneapolis, I would just throw it in the air like she did when she worked for WJM. And I always liked that it was WJM TV, the fictitious station where the Mary Tyler Moore show was set, because JM, Jim Masters. If I was going to have a TV station of my own, I think I would call it WJM TV. So here's our version of WJM TV right here with the Jim Masters Show live entertainment lifestyle talk show series. Inspiring conversations, amazing guests from all around the world, lots of levity and lovity. Lovity is one of the words that we use when we describe our show because I accidentally came up with that word in the summertime and it stuck. Everybody loves it. And that is really a good deal of the flavor of what this show's about. It's a traditional entertainment lifestyle talk show series harkening back to the old school, warm, conversational, freestyle conversations with a modern twist and modern vibe of today. Again, our guests do come from Broadway and Hollywood and television and film and music, culinary arts and inspiration, as well as authors and sports. Tomorrow night, we have the incredible Patrick McEnroe with us, tennis star, ESPN commentator, and brother of John McEnroe, the legendary tennis pro and legend. He is going to be here. Patrick, his brother, is going to be here tomorrow. It's going to be amazing. We're going to look forward to that. So we have so many great things we have in store for you today. As Jim Stanek is with us, he's a brilliant film, theater, and television actor and performer, and he's waiting in the wings in New York City. But first, we're going to greet some of our fantastic viewers. We call them lovities. Again, everybody that watches this show is a lovity. So if you're watching for the first time, you are now a lovity here on the Jim Masters Show Live. You're part of our lovity squad. Hey, gang, we also have a Facebook page for this group as well. Our Facebook page is JMS Live Lovity Hall. So we invite you to join it. And everybody's active too. They post all kinds of photos and comments every once in a while. I pop in and say hello to everybody as well. And you can also find me at Jim Masters TV on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, and Periscope. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is the channel you're watching right now, Jim Masters TV. Click that notification bell so you never miss any of the extraordinary daily episodes of JMS Live and other content we have on that channel, and some cool new things we're going to be adding to the channel that we're working on as well. So there it is there, Jim Masters TV. Click that notification bell so you don't miss any of the content. We say hello to lovities. We toast all of you around the world. Merlin is here from Canada. Hello, Jim and lovities. This is just some green tea. I know it looks expensive and fancy. It's just some green tea tonight. Merlin in Canada, we greet you and welcome you. And Dallas is here. Dallas Bryson, yay. Welcome to the show. Good to have you with us. And Juanita is here from South Africa. Hello, Jim and lovity squad. Good to see you, Juanita. Mary Bishop says hello. All of the lovities, good to see you, Mary, in Florida as well. We welcome you. And everybody says hello to everybody. And Dallas says, this is so exciting. I agree, Dallas. Every episode of the Jim Masters Show live entertainment lifestyle talk show series is something fresh and exciting, different every night. Last night, we had Broadway star Adam Jacobs on our show. If you missed that episode, you can check that out. He starred in Broadway's Aladdin, Disney's Aladdin, as Aladdin. He was Simba in The Lion King. He was in Les Miserables as Marius, and so much more. We had a great conversation with him. This is so exciting, and I agree. And Anne in Southern California says, hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It is great to be here with all the beautiful lovelies. I agree. It's good to see you, Anne. I like your new updated profile photo there on YouTube. Nice and snazzy. Maureen is here from Arizona. Hello, Jim and my lovely family. You have a bad case of lovety-itis. The only cure is a daily dose of JMS Live. So away we go. You got it. The vibes we put out, what did Tom Snyder, another legendary talk show host, used to say, and news anchor, something about, fire up the color teenies as they fly through the air. I used to love when he said that. Susan is here saying, so excited to see my pal, Jim Stanek. Susan, welcome, and I hope you will sample the Jim Masters Show live regularly. We are here 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 days a week, and we've done almost 400 episodes of our live entertainment lifestyle talk show series since we started last May. Again, this sort of patterns after my television and radio work. Claudia Bartow is here. Hello, good to see you, Claudia. And Wozniak is here in Jacksonville, Florida. Happy Tuesday, Jim and lovely friends. Good to see you as well. And it's Jim times 2 tonight. You got this Jim, and our guest is Jim, so double lovely coming your way. Neil Keene is here. Neil, welcome to the show. Yeah, you can always post a question. We are very interactive. I'm very viewer-centric in my professional work on television, radio, stage. I believe all in the viewers and the listeners and the audience. So you can post away. We'll try to get to your question if you have one. And good to have you with us, Neil. Hope you'll join us regularly. Thanks for the thumbs up as well. Amy is here. Hello, all lovelies and loveties and everything else. Hope you're doing well. And let's see. Home of the incredible Jim Stanek. That is Pittsburgh, right? Yes, I was in Pittsburgh on a TV shoot for PBS a couple of years ago, and it was a fantastic place. I believe it has more bridges, if not the same amount or more bridges than Venice, Italy does. Could you imagine that? And June is here, and June says, you're all going to love Jim Stanek. Absolutely. You have a lot of Jims in your life, my friend June. Cheers and cheers and cheers. Couple more, and then we will welcome our buddy to the show. You, Jennifer Barry, watching in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Guess what? I'm getting Wi-Fi at my mom's house tomorrow. If everything goes right, you'll be here full time. Get ready. I know you're having trouble with your Wi-Fi the last couple of days, but it's good that you are here. Amy says, hello, all lovely friends. I hope all are doing well. And Christine Clifton says, greetings, Jim and lovely friends. Welcome, actor Jim Stanek, to the show tonight. A great conversation at Lovely Hall is ahead. Absolutely. And keep the comments coming. Don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Click the notification bell as well so you don't miss any of the amazing content that we have. Share the links. Tell everybody about our Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show series. We would absolutely love that. We are here every single day, which is absolutely amazing. You see my very special guest, another Jim in the mix here tonight, joining us. We're talking about Jim Stanek, and he was born in Maryland. That's right. And he is a prolific actor and performer extraordinaire. We're going to talk about some of the extraordinary things that he has been involved in. If you are familiar with him, well, guess what? He made his first Broadway role of hero in A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum with Nathan Lane, then Whoopi Goldberg, and ending with David Alan Grier. He can also be heard on the original Broadway revival cast recording. He has since done 6 other Broadway shows, standing by for The Rivals and Little Women, and many, many others. The Story of My Life, A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, and recently standing by for the Tony Award-winning Michael Severus in the 2015 Tony-winning musical Fun Home. He's had a multitude of off-Broadway credits as well, television work, film work, and he just did an episode of Blue Bloods last season 2 and 3 episodes of the final season of Mr. Robot. He's been on The Good Wife, Law and Order, and before the daytime drama thinned out, he was several times on Guiding Light and As the World Turns as well. That's right. So again, you've seen him, I'm sure, here, there, and everywhere. And He's consistently working and consistently busy, and joining us tonight on the Jim Masters Show Live. Welcome, Jim with Jim in stereo, both
That's
Jims.
right.
How are you?
I am very good. I'm excited. I've been looking forward to this very much. I watched you before, and I agree. It's got that sort of old timey flavor, but with a new twist because you've got modern guests on, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, thank you. I know you were mentioning to me that you've been following along, watching the other episodes and some of the other guests, and really enjoying what we're doing here and what we've created on the Jim Masters Show Live, huh, Jim?
Very much. It just, this whole year has been rough for a whole bunch of people, and I think everybody's been trying to find something to clue into or key into that makes them feel good. And this is one of those things. And I popped into a couple of episodes over the time. I can't believe you've done almost 400 now.
Yeah.
But it's just nice to feel normal and just relax a little bit.
Absolutely right. And freestyle conversations. And sometimes people will say, in my professional work, sometimes we do, pre-scripted questions, depending on the guest. But on this show, on the Jim Masters Show Live, we don't do any of that. It's all freestyle. It's all comfortable and conversational. So I tell the guests, we don't have to prepare any questions. We'll just have a good time. And Juanita says, welcome to the show. And she's in South Africa. And Mary in Florida says, hello, Jim, and welcome. And June says, and she must be referring to you, because I have a little 5 o'clock stuff that I've had since the pandemic that, and my hair is very long. It goes down to here, believe it or not, but it's all underneath this hat, and it's trying to pull the hat off. If you see the hat slipping back slowly, it's not that I'm getting a big head. It's that the big bunch that's back there is trying to yank it back and do a backflip. It may actually do that. That would go viral if the hat just sort of flipped off by itself. But she is saying, Jim, you have a beard.
I do.
Is that a pandemic situation as well?
It is. A lot of times when I'm working, I have to be clean shaven, and I got nothing. I got nothing going on.
Well, I had to do a news report, a news show. I do a television news show as well, and a lifestyle travel series and a bunch of other things. But one of the things was a news report or featured news segment in the television studio. And they needed it to be a little bit more like this. If you look like this, everything looks nice and short. But the hair wasn't as long as it is now. 1 year from now will be like in about a week and a half. And then I've reached 1 full year without a haircut, which is I've never done that my entire life. So you know what happens. Now it's a challenge. Now I've got to get to that year point and say that, hey, I did that. Wow. Bucket list. And then we'll see if we cut it or what we do with it. But when I needed to do that news report, I had to read a script that I wrote, and I had to look right at the teleprompter in the television studio. And I couldn't have the hair down here or any of that. So it was in the winter time, and I just grabbed a turtleneck and shoved it all in the back of the turtleneck, and it stayed back there, and the turtleneck came up to here. And as long as I didn't have to do any quick, swift turns, which I didn't have to because it was straight on teleprompter, it was cool and it worked. So if you ever have a situation, although with the beard, I'm not sure how you would do that. I don't think that would stick into the turtleneck. You might create a new look. You might create something that becomes, the flavor of the month or the talk of the town.
Sure.
We've got more coming in here. Skeff Bissett says Jim has a special place in the hearts of the children of Sandy Hook, Connecticut. Of course, we're talking about Newtown. Willy Wonka was played to joyful delight of all. It was truly an honor to have met him. Our gratitude endures. Thanks for joining us, Skeff, and thanks for sharing that with us. I had an opportunity. I was at a restaurant with friends right a few months after all of that had happened. And there was a gentleman that was at the bar, and he was having a couple of drinks. And one of my friends, she has been in the restaurant business, managed restaurants, and she knew him. And she said, does he look familiar to you? And I said, no, he doesn't. It's the first time I'm seeing him here. She brought him over. She invited him to the table. Very nice gentleman from Connecticut, I believe from Stratford, Connecticut, in Fairfield County. And he introduced himself, and he is the father of that teacher who I believe was 27 years old, the one who shielded all the kids. She didn't make it, but she shielded the kids, sort of barricaded them in and shielded them. So he was there, and it was not far after. And he started talking about his daughter and opening up. And we told him, join us and sit down and let's chat. And he opened up about his whole life, about how wonderful she was and beloved and such a great teacher, showed us pictures from his wallet. It was incredibly moving. And it was one of those moments where we had no idea that would happen. And I still remember that, a very soft-spoken, gentle man who really was missing his daughter, who really was a hero. She protected those kids greatly to the best that she could. I believe the kids in her classroom were fine. She's no longer with us as a result, but the kids I believe, were fine. So that was very moving. And what a beautiful thing for her to share there, huh?
Yeah, right. Well, Skeff, he was a father of one or a couple of the kids that were in the show with me. I was asked by the guy who ran the theater company up there with all these kids that they created after that tragedy. And I was asked, I think it was about 5 years from when they started. And I went up there to play Willy Wonka, and Skeff was sort of doing a play on words about a story that might come up later. But he said it's an honor for me to be there. It was an honor for me. The kids were incredible. They didn't ask for the spotlight to be shown on that.
No.
On that area.
No.
But all of a sudden it's thrust upon them because of that tragedy, and the way that the kids and that whole community pulled together and got through it and are now moving forward, and they are changing the world in a lot of ways. The parents who have started many organizations to try to combat that scourge that, of I don't want to get political, but that, those tragedies happen. But also the kids getting through that tragedy and holding each other up and pulling each other through. It's really amazing. And the parents of all of the kids were incredible. It's an experience I could talk to you, for 3 hours about. But it was really special, and it means a lot that Skeff joined in tonight.
Well, being here in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut tri-state area, many of us either probably knew somebody that was, involved in that situation in Newtown, as much as we do 9/11 with the Twin Towers and other things like that. And it's one of those things that is random in life, but really brings a community together in such a positive way. And it's my hope, and I've said it 10,000 times probably on this show, that I hope that as we lift ourselves and rise from the ashes of the COVID-19 pandemic, the economy, the civil unrest, the political craziness, everything that's been thrown at us in like a 12-month period, any one of those would be monumental to deal with. But now it's everything all at once. And every time you turn on, the news, something more horrific has happened. I'm hoping that we learned from this, that there have been teachable moments as we've paused, as we've looked in the mirror and we've reflected, we've had time to breathe, we've had time to, reflect and maybe reboot and say, maybe it's a little time we sprinkle a little more empathy and compassion into this world, more unification, more inclusion, less divisiveness, less of that's mine and you can't have any, and more of the welcoming everybody to the table. I always say that either at the beginning or the end of this show. I say everybody, it doesn't matter whether it's your zip code, your income, height, weight, eye color, gender, religious, political views. Everybody's welcome to join us here at the Jim Master Show Live. Everybody's welcome to the table. I think that's because I'm a Libra as well. So I like balance and harmony. I'm not an extreme person. I like to bring the extremes together, and we talk about that on the show. So I'm always looking, when this extreme is yelling here and this extreme's over there, I like to bring us together and see what we can do to work things out. And so I'm really hoping that we do enjoy maybe some fruits of the situation, and that would be more love and more empathetic, more, compassion. I know for some that might sound idealistic. It might sound Pollyanna. It might sound old fashioned. It might sound like something that would be a movie script or a Broadway play or a television show. But what the hell's wrong with that? You know what I mean?
Just move apart for me. That's all. That's all I care about.
I mean, that sounds pretty good to me about now. Let's bring that on. Yeah.
Well, I think that's what I like about the show is that the levity that you bring and the levity that all of the guests bring. It and your mantra. I have often said something I try to live by is that each and every single one of us on this planet have the ability to positively or negatively affect every single person that we come into contact every single day. Mm-hmm. It's up to us to decide whether we want to be on the positive side or the negative side. And that's really every single person you pass, you do have the ability to make a difference in a positive or a negative way. If you step on their shoe and shove them aside, you know how that's going to go. But if you sort of tip your hat, you don't want your hair to fall out, but
you'll have to hold it if I tip it.
Well, you could just, salute them. But I try to live that way. My parents raised me to be that way, and I try hard. Some days are harder than others to do that. And it has been difficult in the past year, of course. But I believe, like you said, that another day is around the corner each day, and we try to move on and get past this. This has not been an easy year for any of us. We've all had to make changes, and there are other folks who have suffered worse. And I think when I really think about it, that's what I'm just grateful that, as many people as possible are staying as healthy as possible and getting through this. I have my physical health. My immediate family has kept their physical health. But I'll be honest, the mental health has been difficult.
And for the kids too, who've been not only witness to the tragedy of everything, but can you imagine being a 10-year-old? Think about, I had a fantastic childhood, loving family, involvement with all our relatives, safe, comfortable home, supportive parents. I look back at my childhood and we say we're blessed. My sister does. We all say we're blessed. We didn't have things like this, or maybe also when there were big things, war or whatever was going on, we were still kids. We were playing outside. We were in the swimming pool, playing, baseball and frisbee and doing all the fun stuff. Kids today, they get to see everything because it's all there on their phones, and it's there on the computers, and it's there on television, and everything is there. And it's hard not to have kids see some of the really horrific stuff. But what they've also witnessed is how adults have been treating each other. And it's sometimes worse than what even a 5-year-old would say and do. Sure.
And I've fallen victim to that, to be honest, periodically. I wasn't able to stick with my own mantra of positively affecting everybody I come into contact with, because I think part of the problem is with the internet and everything else, you can come into contact with a whole bunch more people than you ever used to.
And they're all anonymous too. Yeah.
And also, though, that forces us all to be on all the time, even if it's just comments. And that's difficult. I know that as a performer, I'm sure you know it too. It's difficult to bring up the energy to be on,
Because now you have Facebook and Tumblr and Twitter and Instagram and YouTube and Periscope and Twitch and WhatsApp and email and texting and phone calls. And it's like, you're now an on-call doctor 24/7. You could be at a funeral for a loved one, and somebody could be texting you, and you could text them and say, "I'm at a funeral," and they'll be like, "Oh, I just need the answer to this," and you're like, "But I'm at a funeral. Can you give me an hour? I mean,
Yeah.
I'll get to you, but I'm actually at a funeral. We're actually going up to the casket right now. Can I answer that in about a half hour maybe?" It's a whole new world with that, huh?
My 14, almost 15-year-old told me the other day, he's constantly going over to Discord. I shouldn't be doing a commercial for them, but he goes over to Discord during his online classes. And I'm pleading with him. I'm like, please stay away from the Discord while you're supposed to be in class. And he's like, but if there's an emergency and somebody needs me, I was like, who's going to need you? You're 14. Like, what can you do? And
right.
You're here. They're there. What can you do? But at the same time, then we had a conversation about, how his connection to these friends or these people online. And I know they're important to him. So it's trying to find a balance. And so I sort of urged him. I was just like, please, not when you are in class time.
Yeah. What is Discord? I haven't heard of that one. I must be. I've heard of Tinder, and of course there's TikTok.
Discord, I don't really know much about it. It's an online communication app that they can, touch base with each other all the time. I try to stay away from it because, as you know, from all the stuff I was trying to send you, I'm technologically not advanced.
You only sent a few of the pictures upside down, but we corrected that. I thought you were doing, a Cirque du Soleil act when I saw them.
Right.
So you gotta laugh, don't you? You gotta laugh.
I do have to laugh.
Levity and levity. Well, speaking of that, we're going to transition into some laughter. You have some characters around you. You know that we have these characters on the show. We've got Gilligan back there and all the rest. Tell us, let's see some of the characters that you have.
All right. Those who know me really, really well, I don't tell most people, I try not to let them know this. And my wife, she was like, you really want to tell people about this? I was like, yeah, I do. I'm an avid action figure collector. And I just have a sampling of the stuff that I have here in my apartment. Most of my stuff is in storage. And for those of you, if you're wondering if I'm a real toy geek, most of it is in the package. So yes, I am a real toy geek. But I have some of my favorites with me. Because I know you had George Burns, Jim, last night on your show. You have a George Burns figure. This is my Groot.
There he is. He's always our sidekick. He's sort of my Ed McMahon. He's always here with it. He's got his cigar and his hanky, so he greets you.
That is what Groot is for me. He's like my sidekick. When I was doing Fun Home, I was the standby. So that meant that if the lead, Michael Cerveris, needed to take a show off at any time, I would go on for him, but I would then go down into his dressing room, and that would be my dressing room for the night or for the week. I would take Groot with me when I would go down, because I wanted something to make me feel comfortable, like it was my space, because I was actually just a special guest in Michael's space. So I wanted to take one thing with me down that would make me feel like, okay, it's my space now. And that was what Groot was for. This is totally showing my geek side, all of this. But I'm okay with it. This is my animal action figure with so many points of articulation that he can make anybody happy, or you can make him grumpy. So that's him. I've got
very cool.
I've got so much stuff. How much time do we have? I've got my Deadpool.
Oh yeah. Who was that?
I've got.
Tell us that. Who was the one you just had?
This is Deadpool. He's a Marvel action figure. He's a little vulgar, so if we've got any kids watching, don't watch Deadpool. But I'm not super into like all the action heroes. I'm more into more like fun Simpsons, Muppets, those kinds of action figures. But every once in a while, there's like a character like Deadpool that the graphics and they're really, really cool. So I get those.
That's cool. That's fantastic.
I got. Can you see these are my wrestling action figures?
Oh yeah, let's take a look at that.
This is I might have to hang my head in shame for weeks.
No, you and I are just going back to
Jericho.
We're going back to being 12 and 13-year-old kids. Live on television.
This comes with its own hors d'oeuvres table. Can you see? And plastic cups. There's
champagne there and everything.
And then, of course, if it wouldn't be a wrestling action figure, if the table didn't break.
What'd you do? Try to pull the tablecloth? Did you try to pull the tablecloth away and leave the dishes on the table?
I should try that next. That might be my next trick. But I just broke the table. Not really, but I broke it in half. It's supposed to do that.
It's supposed to do that.
And
he's a magician too.
You
didn't know he's a magician.
And the last thing I'd show off is my Stranger Things Lego set. I don't get any money for endorsing these. I wish I did. I'm not an influencer. I have no idea how that works. But this is a Stranger Things Lego set. So if you're a fan of Stranger Things, this is incredible. Comes with the characters. It comes with the Demogorgon. Can you see that? Yeah, you can see that. And I think those are my highlights.
That is very, very.
And of course,
cool.
There's my Willy Wonka half face cookie jar. If you're a fan of the Willy Wonka movie, as I know, Skeff Bissett and the kids who did Willy Wonka with me are big fans. That's a special edition cookie jar that I got.
That is cool.
Look, I've tried to keep myself like sane during all of this madness.
You have to surround yourself. I have all of my people don't know it, but right below where the setup is here at the microphones and everything is my Matchbox car collection from childhood. I still have the complete Matchbox car collection. I did in the earlier stages of the Jim Master Show Live back in the spring. I should do another one. I did a whole. I didn't even have a guest on that day. I just did a host chat, with the viewers, and we were talking about childhood toys and everything. And I mentioned the kaleidoscopes and the GAF Viewmasters and all the board games, the Matchbox cars, the Hot Wheels.
Can I access that show? Which episode is that?
That's a good question. It was in May of last year.
All right.
May of last year. So one of the earlier ones. I was bringing out old cameras that my grandfather had and my father had, and passed down and everything, and board games. I think we brought out Twister, and
that's super cool.
Sorry,
go ahead.
That's one game that you can't play during the pandemic, unfortunately, is Twister.
No. Yeah, well, if you got maybe a couple of different Twister mats, you could do socially distanced Twister.
You could do socially distant. That's right. Every other dot. Skeff says, Jim Stanek, you like Wonka, are a child at heart. Never change. I know. I said he should be wearing purple tonight.
That's right.
Neil says, cool cookie jar. So we have, as you've seen, the George Burns, and then back here is Gilligan from Gilligan's Island. And that came from Bob Denver's wife, Dreama Denver, who was a guest on our show. And she wrote a new book that I'm going through that she sent me, Gilligan's Dreams, and it was fantastic. So when she was a guest twice on our series, And she said, Jim, you're missing something on set here. And I said, what could we possibly be missing? She says, you're missing a Gilligan. So she sent us the Gilligan. And then over there, we have the I Dream a Genie bottle. We got Jimmy the Clown. We've got Casper the Friendly Ghost. That's about 25 years old. That was a gift. Silver the Lab that came from a TV shoot I was on in Switzerland. George Burns. You know, you do have to surround yourself with some of those comical, fun things that make you feel good. When I was a kid, I had the Lost in Space robot, and my sister had the Mrs. Beasley dial from Family Affair.
Yes. I wonder what that would go for these days.
I know. What did you have as a kid?
Oh, Star Wars.
Oh, you had all the Star Wars.
I had a ton of Star Wars, and I also had what I've done in my adulthood, when I had money, before I had children. I was making a little bit more money then. I went back and I bought some of the things that I loved from my childhood that I had, but then didn't have, like they got sold or something. I had a Fisher-Price Sesame Street playset that I found one online for a decent price. So I have that. I bought that online. It's in storage. Another favorite was the Weeble Haunted House. The Weebles wobbled, but they don't fall down. It was a haunted house, and it was this great big play set, and you could put a Weeble down the chimney, and it would go down to the bottom. There was some really fun stuff there. Yeah.
I used to have so many replicas too of things. I had the Holiday Inn. Play School had the Holiday Inn, which was actually like the hotel, with the restaurant, the people, the beds. I used to always love things that were. I used to love things that were sort of like mini versions of life, like train sets. One time in the basement, I was always fascinated, probably why I worked with public television all these years, by the set in Pittsburgh, Mr. Rogers, the Land of Make-Believe. Yep. But not even Land of Make-Believe. When the show started in the beginning, that set of the little houses and the cars, and then the camera would zoom into what would be his house, and then it would dissolve into him coming in and singing Won't You Be My Neighbor. We actually in the basement constructed a replica of the Mr. Rogers neighborhood, which was really cool. Not when they go into the Land of Make-Believe with the trolley, but the opening scene and the closing scene. Yep. And it was really, really cool. And that was a lot of fun. A lot of work, but that was a lot of fun.
I can imagine a lot of work. Like you could have chose the simpler, the Land of Make-Believe, but you decided to go for it all. With the giant opening with all the little details.
Yeah, it was really, really cool, I tell you. And those are the things that, inspire you, some of those things from childhood to want to. Do you think any of that had anything to do with your selection of a career, being a creator and an artist and an entertainer, performer, somebody who wants to continue to create? Were you always a creative kid? I would definitely say I was. We did plays in the garage and neighborhood plays and all kinds of things that were very creative as kids that have translated or transferred into adulthood in the career.
Yeah, I think there were a couple of things. If I look back, I have to honestly say that I think one of the things that propelled me into an entertainment career. This is another big admit that I'm giving to the Jim Masters Show Live. Okay,
we have a graphic for that, folks. It's another world premiere exclusive on the Jim Masters Show Live. They love when we do world premiere exclusives, and they love when they get to see the guest's chair. So if you end up having to get up for some reason to grab something, they can't wait to see the chair you're sitting in.
I've heard about that. I have a stool. It's a little bit different, but I'll see if I can do right at some point. The exclusive is that I am a pro wrestling fan.
Yes.
I started being a fan at age 7, and I still am to this day. Hence the wrestling action figures and the wrestling ring. But I really believe that being a fan of wrestling, pro wrestling, was one of the reasons why I became an entertainer, because my favorite of all time, who was Ric Flair,
Yeah.
He was an amazing improv artist. He would just get up there, take a microphone, and go off. And he was so in his character. I read a book about him since, and maybe he was too close to his character because he lived that lifestyle, to the hilt.
Yeah.
But he was so good, and he made me believe, even though I knew it was fake, I always believed it was real.
Yeah.
And I would turn it off and I'd be like, oh, it's totally fake. But for that moment while I was watching, it was real.
Yeah.
And to this day, I think that's what I try to do when I perform. I try to bring as much reality from my life and into the performances that I give, and just make them as real as possible. It doesn't matter if they're funny characters or, super silly, whatever you're doing. I still try to root it in some kind of reality, because I find that connects you to the audience in a way that not all performers or performances can. But when I think of a couple of other things that drove me into the business, I know that I think I was like 6 years old. I was living in Virginia, and my older siblings, a couple of them were in the band, the big symphony band at their high school. And the band director there would do an outdoor concert every year. And his name was Mr. Barton, I think. And he would do an outdoor concert, and he would invite all of the people to get up and do a polka at one point during the concert every year. And nobody would get up. So my mom convinced me at, I think, age 6 or something, to get up. We practiced that day in the living room of our house. And she was like, we're going to get up and we're going to give that man his dream of having people polka in the park to the music of the band. And we practiced, and we got to the park, and she's like, okay, here it is. And he was like, if anybody wants to get up in polka, come on up. And she's like,
this is it. Yeah.
This is it. And I was like, no, I don't want to do it. And she was like, come on, we practice, you know. And I was like, I'll do it if we go over into that corner. And I think, or else my mom might have suggested that and said, if we go over here off to the side. So we did. We got up. We were the first and only ones to get up, and we started polkaing. And then more people got up. And like, I think this guy's dream was given to him on a platter. And the interesting thing was, there was a picture in the paper later that week of the band playing and of the people polkaing, but we were put off because I decided to go over into the corner. So we were responsible for it all, but we got cut out of the picture.
Well, that happens a lot in life, doesn't it?
That's true.
That's right. You are the creator, but then again, at the back of the line sometimes. But look what you did, the inspiration that you set forth.
Yeah, I think my mom, by doing that, I think sort of put something in my head. She was making this one guy happy. She was trying to do an act of service that gave him a little bit of happiness, and I try to do that. As I said earlier, I try to do that every day. It's difficult sometimes when you read a tough story on the news or something happens in your own personal life, but if you can, I think it's a good thing. One last thing that I think drove me to performing is I'm thinking about just now as we're talking. I have 3 brothers and a sister. The brother right closest to me, who's a couple of years older, my brother Dan, and we would put lights on in our bedroom, because we shared a bedroom most of our childhood. We had all these different lights and like silly things that you would get at Spencer's Gifts. And
yeah, remember Spencer's?
Yeah, and
all kinds of wacky stuff. They had everything you needed.
Yes, they did, and a lot of stuff you didn't.
Right. I
But
miss them, and I miss Tower Records.
oh yeah,
Mm.
the one on
All of them, yeah. When they were having the going out of business sale, I went to all of them in Manhattan, Long Island, Connecticut. They were giving stuff away for like $5
right.
just to clear it out. It was a great
Yeah,
place.
I just went to the one up on Columbus,
Yeah.
or Columbus Circle, and grabbed that.
Yeah, it was a great one. Yeah.
But we would go, me and my brother Dan would go into our room, put all these lights up, and put on our favorite albums like Styx or Journey, and we would lip sync along or sing along with them and pretend. We would do like the whole album, hold the lyric sheet up so we could sing through it. And I think as I kept going, that I wanted to do stuff like that made me feel energetic and everything else. Like when I speak to groups of kids who want to be in the business, I tell them, when I'm trying to introduce myself to them, I tell them I was the youngest of 5 kids, and therefore you're trying to always do something to get attention, and just stand out, of that group of 5. So I tried doing what some of my siblings were doing. I tried to play sports like a couple siblings, and that didn't work out so well. I tried to play a musical instrument like some of my siblings, and that didn't work out too well. I tried getting in trouble. That worked out great.
That worked out very well.
I was getting into a lot of trouble and getting a lot of attention, but then I realized that wasn't really what I was going for. Yeah. And then in 7th grade, I did a musical called Radio Station KIDS. And I did a small part. And I have to say, around that age, that was 7th grade, I was getting picked on a little bit. I was a bit of a geeky kid, as evidenced by the toys I showed you earlier. And I was getting picked on a little bit, but then we performed that show for my fellow students. And some of the folks that were picking on me came up afterwards, and they were like, "Hey, Stanek, you were pretty funny in that play." I was like, "Great, this is what I'm going to do." I found my thing,
Yes, right, right.
That's where it really, really sunk in for me. That's where it really started.
That's fantastic. That's amazing. And you're still doing it. You're still there, and you're still doing it. And let's go back in time a little bit for you. You grew up in Pittsburgh?
Yep. Pittsburgh area.
When did you make the trek to the Big Apple? Tell us about the progression that led you to the stage and to the theater and to the big city.
Well, as I said, I started that moment in 7th grade was where it really started to sink in.
That was an aha moment. Yeah.
Yeah, big time. And then what I also tell students when I talk to them, what happened was I found a little bit of a family, like outside of my own family, one that, made me feel comfortable because they were into what I was into. Entertaining and singing and dancing and laughter. So you find that little family, and then that show ends and you want to find another one, right?
Right.
So I kept doing the shows at school. And then when I was around 15, so that was like 2-3 years later, I think it was my mom that mentioned the community theater, Comtra Cultural Center. I know that there are a couple of folks that got their start there are watching tonight. Neil and Susan. Hi. So I went to the Comtra. So then that's like a step up from, junior high and high school theater. At least it was for me. I felt like I was, giving myself a little new challenge. So I started doing shows there, and your family grows a little bit. And what happens is those people start to hang out, and they have conversations like, "Oh, I was listening to this show the other day, and I remember this specifically. I was in North Park, I think, with Neil and Susan and Kathy, and a whole bunch of other folk. And we were just having like a picnic in the park, and somebody was listening to Into the Woods. And somebody said, oh, we could do this, and you'd be a great Jack, and you'd be a great Baker. And I would listen to it, and I'd be like, you're right, I would be a great Jack. And so you then start to learn that music, and you want to, be Into the Woods, and you just keep going further because your family has encouraged you to go forth. But then the next step is, where do you go from the community theater, high school? Well, you got to go to one of the other professional theaters in the area, right? But those theaters only take people who have degrees in acting. So after high school, I was a little bit nervous about going into the business, because so many people were saying, you can't make a living doing that. But there was an Academy of Musical Theater opening up in downtown Pittsburgh, and I decided to audition for that. So I didn't go to college right away. I made gap years trendy and cool before they were trendy and cool. And I went to this Academy of Musical Theater. And once again, my family grew a little bit, and the influences grew. And then you have people there that say, oh, you should do this part, or you should do this song, or you should do this play. And one of the teachers at that academy said, you're talented. He said, but you're raw. You need training. And I said, I agree. And he said, I teach at Carnegie Mellon, and I think you should audition. So I was like, okay. So my mentor at the academy, her name is Pam McCready. And Pam was like, I'll help you fill out all the stuff. I was like, great, we'll do that. But at the same time, I was nervous. So this teacher, I left this out. The teacher said, contact me. I'll bring you to campus. I'll show you around. I'll introduce you to teachers and students, and you can sit in the classes. Well, he pulled me aside the next week, and he said, hey, can I talk to you? And I said, sure. He's like, I told you I would introduce you to teachers and let you watch the classrooms, etc., and you never called. I was like, right, I was going to, but I was busy. And he's like, no, that's okay. He's like, I just want to apologize. And I said, for what? And he said, well, I was wrong about you. You don't have what it takes. I was like, what? He's like, I'm sorry, you don't have what it takes, because I offered you this opportunity and you didn't seize upon it. So, and I was like, oh no. So I went to Pam, and I was in tears, because all of a sudden this person I held with such high regard, Don Wadsworth, he told me I didn't have what it takes. I know now that was exactly what he was trying to do, is test me. So I went to Pam, and she helped me fill out everything. And I called Carnegie Mellon, and I said, Don Wadsworth told me to call and set up an appointment, because all your appointments are over. And they were like, oh, Don said, okay, well, and they made an appointment for me. I went in, and I got in. It was, so I'm grateful to him still to this day. I'm grateful to all those folks at the Comtra, and even in my high school, that sort of drove me. And I try to not forget that, 8 Broadway shows and TV shows and movies and other stuff that I'm so grateful to have been a part of. But none of that would have happened if all of those other things wouldn't have happened. The polka, the singing in the room with my brother, and meeting these great people who decided to spend some time with me and then push me forward, whether they knew they were doing it or not. So I spent 4 years at Carnegie Mellon, came to New York. You do a showcase for talent agents and producers and directors and all this. I did that. From there, I landed an agent, a commercial agent, and a legitimate agent, who sent me out for theater and film and television. And that was in 1994. I graduated, I don't know if I should be telling my age,
Hey.
but I graduated from Carnegie Mellon in 1994 and moved to New York in September of 1994. And I started auditioning right away, and I started waiting tables right away because that's what you do.
That's what you do.
And I have to say, I was so fortunate that once again there were folks along the way that saw something in me and decided to try to push me forward and help me. It was my agents, but also people in the business that were like, "You're good, but this song is wrong for you. Try this." So then my next audition was better because I had a better song. And one of those casting agencies was Johnson Lift Casting, which was then Tara Rubin came from that fold, and she's one of the premier casting directors today. But Johnson Lift Casting took a special interest in me. They recommended me to a director who was doing Pippin at the Sag Harbor Theater in Long Island. Mm-hmm. And that was my first professional New York job. I got offered Pippin in this book in hand production at the Sag Harbor Theater. Mm. And the first day of rehearsal, it was way downtown across from the Public. There was an old rehearsal space there. And I was showing up and I was going to be Pippin in this production. And so I'm walking the halls trying to find the room. I walk up on this room and it says Pippin. And then it has a cast list outside. And I started up at the top and I see Kate Burton. And then I see Dana Ivey. And then Donna McKechnie. And I'm thinking, this can't be the Pippin I'm in. So I swear to goodness, I started walking the halls to find the other Pippin that was happening. I was like, which was silly, but I thought there's no way I'm in that one.
But you're in that one.
So I tried to find another door, and then I came back to that door, and somebody was like, "Are you Jim?" I was like, "I am." They're like, "Come on in." So that was my first New York job with these amazing professionals that at age 22, 23, here I was in a show with them. And then soon after, a show that I had been auditioning for, I think I went in 3 or 4 times for it. I got the call in, I think, early January of 1995 that I was going to be the understudy to Jude Law in this American version of Les Parents Terribles called Indiscretions. Mm-hmm. And on Broadway, and I was going to understudy, and I was going to be his standby. So if he left or had to miss a show, I would go on for him. And that was with Kathleen Turner, Roger Rees, Cynthia Nixon, Jude Law. I mean, it was an amazing group. Eileen Atkins. So that happened within 6 months of my being there. And I know that's no small thing. So I'm still grateful to this day that happened. And it was people who took care of me and helped me out to get me to that point. So then when I was understudying Jude, I went on 11 times, by the way. Mm. And that's something my wife, I don't know if I should say this, but my wife was like, "Tell them about that. That was a cool experience." I was like, it was. I had to be totally nude on stage. Mm. That was my first Broadway experience, was being totally nude on stage.
The opposite of incognito.
Yes, exactly. But I have to say, it was pretty amazing because it was liberating in a way that, you had to just throw all caution to the wind and just go out on stage and do your thing, But while I was doing that role, understudying that role, I was auditioning for other shows and other opportunities. And the one that came along was A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, which was directed by Jerry Zaks and starring Nathan Lane. And I went through several auditions for that, and I got the call for that from my agents and was offered the role of hero. And I did that for 2 years. Mm-hmm. And that made me feel like I had a place here in the city. In New York, it was my dream to come here and perform. I saw movies like Goodbye Girl with Richard Dreyfuss, and one called Headin' for Broadway that most people probably have never even heard of. And that was all about people coming to New York and making their dreams happen. And here I was going to be in a Broadway show, and it ended up being a hit Broadway show. And my life was changed.
Forever changed. And what happened from there? I mean, that was a life-changing moment for you. And I'm sure the doors opened up even further, huh?
They did right before they closed.
That's what everybody says. Yeah.
Soon after Forum closed, that was in 1998. It closed in January or February of 1998. I went back home because I hadn't been able to go home for that whole big chunk of time. So I went back home to the Pittsburgh area, and while I was there, I tried to contact as many people as I could. I tried to ride my bike to all of the old places I used to ride. I just wanted to feel like, sort of like Skeff said, I wanted to feel like a kid again. Remember where I came from. And I did. I stayed there for about a month, and then I went back to New York, and almost as soon as I got there, I got offered my first television show. I had landed a plum role in a TV pilot for a show called Adversaries, and it was going to be the next big thing. It was created by the guy who created ER, and John Wells, who was a Carnegie Mellon grad, and I got hired to play like the young Noah Wiley, Dr. Green character. But I was a lawyer this time, not a doctor like him. And that was going to be like amazing. So we shot it in Maryland and New York. Was it Maryland, New York? I can't remember. It was a long time ago. But we shot it here on the East Coast. And I was on hold for like a year to decide whether it was going to be picked up or not. So during that year, I was turning down other opportunities because I was going to be a big TV star. Well, it never got picked up. So all of a sudden, you're back to a little bit of square one. You think, oh, my star was on the rise. Now what? So I went back to the stage. I got offered an off-Broadway musical called Captain's Courageous at which theater? Manhattan Theater Club. And I played a role in that. And then I was just back to the grind. And I've done, yes, I've had great opportunities since then, and I've worked with amazing people, but it's not just Broadway, you can make great art anywhere. I'll still insist that we made some great art back in Cranberry Township in Pittsburgh area at the Comtra Cultural Center. And I think we did, but there are regional theaters all across the country, and I've worked at a whole bunch of those. And that's been a dream for me, to experience that. It's just sometimes, young kids and even older performers who want to make it to Broadway, they can base their success on whether they achieve that dream or not. I know it's a privileged thing for me to say that because I did achieve that. It's sort of privileged of me to say, well, you don't need to.
Right.
But it's hard to stay there. It's hard to stay on Broadway. And I have to say, because I've done shows in other places, that doesn't make me a failure. And there you go into other cities, and the gift there is I'm the out-of-towner coming into a city with great performers there. And you go into these other cities and you realize there's incredible theater happening all over this country.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happening all over the world too, but
including places like the wonderful Goodspeed Opera House and Goodspeed Musicals. We actually have a wonderful bevy of photos that they sent to the Jim Master Show Live, which we really appreciate. And I'd love to pull some of those up, and maybe you can sort of describe the moments, the experience, and some of the things that we're seeing, Jim. Here's one right here.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Our design team for that was incredible. The lighting and the set. That was a show I did in 2019 up at Goodspeed at Chester, their smaller theater.
Yeah.
It was called Passing Through. It was special. And I believe that it has a future once the theater rules are relaxed.
Yeah.
I was playing the father to Max Chernin, who is the redhead in the green shirt in the front there. I was the estranged father, and it's based on a true story of a young man named Andrew Forstoffel. He wrote a book about his experience. He walked from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, across the country, down south, across the desert into California. This is Jennifer Lee Warren playing a 101-year-old woman who he met along the way, named Miss Emma. He met her in the hospital because he got heat exhaustion.
Yeah.
And she sings him a song about, it's very heavy.
Yeah.
It's incredible. She sings a song about just walking on through all of the tragedies and tough times that come our way, because Miss Emma saw a lot of it. She talks about seeing young men hanged, beaten, and being called terrible names and treated like, sadly, a lot of Black people are in our country. Once again, I'm trying not to get political.
No, but yeah, it was obviously making a statement. Yeah.
Yeah, this show, like I said, it's a true story of him walking through and just talking to regular people all across the country. And we did this show, and it was really, really special. That scene that you showed before, that was sort of the memory of the dad coming across Andrew in the desert, and having a conversation with him about their estranged relationship. And it meant a lot to me. I've got 3 kids, now 20, 17, and almost 15. And, I try to be the best father possible here at home, and then go and tell stories of other fathers, on stage. And this was a father who had a difficult time being a father. And once again, sometimes I do too. So, you try to bring that personal experience and that reality into your performance. And Max was an incredible partner. Now this is a scene right before the Miss Emma scene, where there has just been another young man killed by a police officer because he had a cell phone and they thought it was a gun. So this preacher is singing about that experience. And we're in the background being, I played the father, but I also played everybody else too.
Yeah.
Throughout. But wow, they sent you great photos.
They sure did.
This is 3 women that were on a chain gang down in the South that Andrew came across and spoke to. And, at first they talk about, if once they get out, they're gonna eat this and they're gonna eat this and we're gonna have a good old time. And by the end of the song, they're lamenting all of the things that led them to this place. It's really powerful. And everybody in the show was committed to the show.
Yeah.
As you get in every show, or most every show, hopefully. But those ladies were incredible. Wow, they sent you good stuff.
They sure did. We love the folks at Goodspeed.
Yeah, me too. I had done a James and the Giant Peach there a couple of years earlier.
Did you? I got
Yeah,
to go to the writers colony that they have,
yeah.
those houses that they have,
Mhm.
which I've passed a million times and always thought that those were just newly constructed homes that people were living in, husbands and wives, families, what have you, and then got a chance to go. And June actually was
Oh,
there as well. And it was an incredible couple of days where we got to stay there at the Goodspeed Musicals writers colony. And they were, pitching all kinds of shows and sort of critiquing and helping one another. And we each had our own sort of like chalet, and it was just a wonderful environment, very creative environment, and to be a part of that was terrific.
well, it's what we were talking about earlier. Those little families that you form,
Yeah,
that you feed off of each other.
right.
One of the things that I learned about myself over the pandemic lockdown, and I told you earlier, it hit me hard. I was in a show that was going to be off Broadway. We had done 2 or 3 previews. It was a brand new show called Help, in a brand beautiful new space at the Shed, down on like 34th Street. And they shut us down, and all of a sudden you go home, and like I said, I've got 3 kids and my wife, and we were like, okay, we're stuck here in the middle of Manhattan, during a hot, about to be a huge explosion of this thing. We got to come up with a plan, and we're going to protect each other, and we're going to protect other people. But then almost immediately, I was like, wait, I'm not going to be making any money, and I'm not going to be acting anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be able to commiserate with those other creative people. So I started, I had panic attacks, and I things started to happen to me that had never happened before.
Yeah.
I was losing it.
Yeah.
And I realized, because I started, you start to reach out to social media, and you try to, make yourself feel a little better if you can. And I saw great friends creating stuff online.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do a blog, and I'm going to do a vlog, and I'm going to do this. I started to realize about myself that that's not my thing. I think I made a huge realization that I love telling other people's stories, and I love telling stories in a personal, I feel like this is personal. I know there are people watching.
Yeah.
I love sharing stories that I have, but I'm not really good at putting them down on paper and creating them for myself.
Right. You like to really celebrate others versus yourself as a storyteller.
Right. So you're talking about the community up there. That's what I was missing. Yeah. I was missing reading other people's words and other people's songs and lyrics and bringing them to life.
Yeah.
That's what they counted on. This experience was, like I said, in summer of 2019, and it was looking like there was going to be an immediate future for passing through.
Mm-hmm. And
then all of a sudden everything shut down, and then your hopes and dreams about that immediate future, go away. And yes, of course, more important things like taking care of your family and being healthy. But part of what has always kept me healthy was telling these stories.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. I've talked to a lot of guests who've said that, who happen to be in the performance side of things, and they've been sharing that. And some of them have even said coming on our show is the first time they've actually had an opportunity to feel comfortable, to open up, to share, to be amongst people in some sort of a way. And that's a beautiful thing. That's a really beautiful thing.
Nobody has been in our home for the last year and a couple of months, except for us. And now you guys are here.
Here we are. We're in the house. Exactly. Well, it's the same here. We haven't been able to see a lot of relatives, and Christmas has come and gone, and birthdays and Thanksgiving and Easter. And, you know, here comes Mother's Day and all of these things. Happy birthday. My sister's birthday is next week. They're in Florida. So, you know, there's all of these things, and we're trying to like I'm fully vaccinated. I'm done. I'm completely done. I'm good to go.
Great. I get my second one on May 10th. And I was going to say this earlier. That's when this comes off. And this is going away.
Take some pictures in case there's ever a role that they need that look. You could say, look, I can pull that off.
Certainly. Well, in passing through, if that's to happen again, this will come back because it gives me a little bit of a scholarly look.
It has that, yes, professorial look. Yeah. Speaking with Professor Stanek of Yale University this evening, the theater department. Right. We have some more wonderful photos here that we want to go through. So this one here, again, you were saying?
That is, I think, near the middle of Andrew's journey.
Yeah.
He's about to go through the desert, and it's a celebratory moment. Yeah. Although then when he goes through the desert, it gets really pretty sketchy because he could have lost his life at any point.
Right.
Walking through the desert. And so that's a whole cast shot. And once again, beautiful lights and set. That is in the desert where he's having a bit of a breakdown. He's run out of water and everything all the people that he's talked to and heard these stories of other Americans, and they have taken their toll on him, and he's having a bit of a breakdown. And that's whenever he's just about to see Dad, who's in that back corner there.
You know, it's amazing. What you're saying is describing a little of what you just said in reference to you and to how everybody's been coping through the pandemic and everything else and the changes. How uncanny that is, huh?
Yeah, and that's why we think that this show has an even more important message now.
Yeah.
Than it did before the pandemic, because this is about a kid who's going out and reaching out and talking to people and touching base with people, not online and not, it's face to face, and hearing personal stories about people and how they've been changed. And we still hope that we were on Goodspeed On Demand. They just premiered about a month ago, and we were their first show that they had for streaming.
Yes, I saw that. Yes.
And they're doing another one, I think, right now, and they're going to try more until they can get back live again. This is Ryan Duncan and Celeste Rose.
Ryan Duncan is going to be a guest on the show in about 2 weeks.
Oh, you're in for a treat.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
He is enormously talented, and he is one of the funniest human beings I've ever met. He is just, I hate to put that pressure on him. But he is hysterical and loving and so talented. Yeah. In this moment, he's playing a soldier who's come back from Iraq during Desert Storm, and they're singing about his inability to adjust to life again. And Celeste is playing his young wife, who is singing about her inability to connect with this man who's no longer the same.
Yeah.
We really touch on a lot of things that are affecting so many Americans. I have no idea. I have no idea what moment that is.
A spotlight moment for sure.
Certainly. And because the spotlight wasn't on me at that moment, I can't remember.
Well, I tell you, these shots are really amazing. Here's another one.
That's a little earlier, before I meet him in the desert. And that's me trying to sing, trying to connect with him, but superficially.
Yeah.
It's a great part. I mean, the Erica Yo and Brett Ryback wrote the piece, And it's once again, it's what I said earlier. I'm drawn to these pieces that are human, that,
Absolutely.
these pieces that bleed, that cry, that have really deep, well, and there's the segue.
Deep and meaningful and serious and profound.
Wow. That is a tremendous segue, Jim.
Isn't that perfect? But wait, there's more.
I'm sure this is when I was doing A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. Yes, that's my real hair. It was not a wig.
That's a real hair. Wow.
I remember walking out one night out of the stage door, and a guy I knew from college saw me, and I walked out, and he goes, "Oh man, I was hoping that was a wig." I was like, "Dude." Yeah, they cut my hair like a bowl cut, and they dyed it blonde for 2 years of my life.
Wow. And President Bill Clinton was there at the time, huh?
President Clinton and Vice President Gore came to the show. They took out the first 5 or 6 rows of the theater.
Yeah.
They removed them, and they were in the front row.
Protection,
and that was for safety.
Yeah.
And we performed for them, and it was a treat. I mean, how many people can say that they performed for a president of the United States?
What was it like meeting him?
Surreal.
Yeah.
You have Secret Service people all around you, and there were many, many moments, but there have been many moments in my career where I've thought, is this really happening right now?
Yeah.
Am I a part of this? We met him on stage, and Al Gore on stage, and then they took us out to the motorcade. Mm-hmm. And they put us in like 6 black SUVs, the whole cast, after we got out of costume. And we went over to the Plaza Hotel and like had dinner with all these people that just saw the show.
Is that not unbelievable?
It was unbelievable. Mm. That I sent you this one. I don't know why I did that. This was one of my earliest performances. I think I was 18. That was at the Pittsburgh CLO Academy of Musical Theater. I was playing Lee Calhoun in Babes in Arms. And those were tearaway pants. You can see they're all bunched up along the sides. Because at one point the pants get ripped off and I'm running around in boxer shorts. That became a theme for me. I just lost the boxer shorts.
That's it.
I sent you this too, because that is my mom and my dad.
Great shot.
That is in my hotel room after I played King Arthur in Camelot at the Engelman Theater in Long Island. Mm-hmm. They came all the way up from Pittsburgh to see me. And this is one of my favorite photos because they have never ceased supporting me and encouraging me. They sent me off to New York, never knowing for certain if I could make a living at this. Mm-hmm. They just knew I wanted to do it, so they wanted me to do it too. So I love this picture. I think they're watching tonight. I'm not certain. They might have to watch. They might watch this on replay later.
In the archives on Jim Masters TV.
You're king of the segues.
The fact that they are able to see your success and experience it is not always a gift that everybody gets. So for you, knowing that they have seen and been aware of and privy to the success, and they remember the lights, hanging in the bedroom and all the fun things that you did, kind of like some of the stuff that we did growing up as well, my sister and I and all, cousins. It's got to really make you feel good. I mean, that you could get any award possible. And tonight, the viewers have already called you a lovety. So you've got a lovety from the Jim Masters Show Live, which tops. I mean, there's Tonys, Grammys, Emmys, Tellys, Peabodys, Oscars, but we just had the Oscars yesterday. But a lovety from the Jim Masters Show Live, that really tops it all. And then you got it. And then there's the love of family. And what is that like for you and for them, having seen this whole progression and then the successes?
Well, that's why I sent you this picture. When you asked if I had anything I wanted to share,
Hmm.
that's why I sent this picture, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them.
Right.
Not to be so scientific,
No,
but
but I call my parents my executive producers, and that's what your parents really are. They are the ultimate and original executive producers of you.
that is the truth. And to have an executive producer be proud of you for your accomplishments, that's what we strive for, because that's what gets us more jobs. But no, that was the reason why I sent you this picture, because
What are their names?
Ella Stanek, Ella Richards, Ella Louise Richards is in the middle there, and my dad,
LOS.
William Stanek Sr.
William and Ella Louise.
Yes, and
Nice.
you're so right that not everybody is fortunate enough to have their journeys seen as long as I've had mine seen by my executive producers.
Yeah.
And it feels amazing. And we're now you're trying to take me to a moment that I'm sort of famous for, which is, some people call, when I was doing passing through, they called it Staneking,
Yes.
when you just start to cry.
Yes. It happens often, even in my professional work on television, radio. I've interviewed or chatted with some of the most stoic of people, and all of a sudden they're opening up and releasing, and they apologize for that. And I'm like, never apologize.
No.
And they're like, oh, we should cut that and everything. I'm like, I think that's probably what more people are going to relate to, and it's going to humanize who you are.
Yeah.
You may have a message, you may have a product, you may have an idea, a theme, whatever it is, but showing some humanness and emotion, there's nothing wrong with it, and doesn't make you weak or vulnerable. It makes you human, authentic, real, and compassionate. So they'll be like, oh, okay, so we'll leave it in, and it'll be the best decision they ever make when it's seen later on by other people. So it's I've been known to have that happen, make them laugh, make them cry, make them think, make them wonder why. Jody Stevens is here. Welcome, Jody. It's good to have you here. She says congrats to you. And Neil says great picture with your parents. I agree, absolutely. It really is.
Well, you see something like that and you remember the sacrifices that they made.
Right?
Like, so many, and then you feel like you can give a little bit of that back. My mom got to meet Whoopi Goldberg. I think my dad did too. I forget. But you get a moment like that and you're like, you just feel like you're giving them something special that they wouldn't have gotten if it wasn't for you.
Yeah, right. Exactly. My folks I was able to arrange, because I was having a chat and conversation with her, sort of interview, but they happened to be with me at the time where we were at, to meet Carol Burnett. And that was a blessing to have them be able to meet Carol. I'm still trying to arrange something with Johnny Mathis. My mother really wants to meet Johnny Mathis.
Take my mom along.
She wants Johnny Mathis.
My mom would love.
I want Dick Van Dyke. I want to interview Dick Van Dyke.
Of course. I wish I could make that happen for you.
I did with Florence Henderson. Florence Henderson was a beautiful person. Absolutely beautiful.
I got to work with Eve Plum.
Oh yeah.
And who knows Florence?
Jen Brady, yeah.
Yes. And we actually did one of my favorite experiences ever. A couple of years back, I got to do a play of Family Ties.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I got
Michael
to play
J. Fox, and
I got to play Alex P. Keaton at a theater in Dayton, Ohio, the Human Race Theater Company. And I played Alex P. Keaton, and we did scenes from the show, but then I got to play him 20 years later.
Wow.
Because that was Michael J. Fox is one of my absolute inspirations.
Have you met him or talked to him?
I never have. That would be a treat.
Yeah.
So if you ever get him on the show,
That would be great. Absolutely.
Um,
Yes.
but he's an inspiration, and I used to always do an impression of him, and it was you know, you
Mhm.
telling me you made a time machine out of a DeLorean. And I
That
got to
sounds just like him too. Wow.
it's a little
Yeah.
bit. Um,
Yeah.
but I got to do that impression. I got to jump up on the counter with him,
Yeah.
or the way he did on the show, and to do it with Eve Plum, who was an iconic TV character in her own right. And here she was playing the mom from Family Ties,
Yeah.
another iconic character that we all love and care about.
Who was Meredith Baxter Burney at the time,
Yeah.
who was Nancy Lawrence on Family with Christy McNichol and James Broderick and Seda Thompson and Gary Frank and Quinn Cummings. Remember that
Yeah.
series? That was a great one.
I think we're sort of the same time period, you and I.
That Aaron Spelling produced that show and was interviewed and asked what was his, of all the series, Charlie's Angels and Dynasty, I mean, everything that he had his hands on as a prolific television producer, especially he was in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
What of all the series, of all the shows, all major hits, which series is the one you're the most proud of? And he said it was Family.
Wow.
That's the one. You could see reruns of it or clips of it on YouTube. I think the Decades channel, which I love, did one of those binge weekends. Last weekend they did it with Mission Impossible.
Okay.
The weekend before they did it with White Shadow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a really great channel. We just got it on cable.
I'm gonna check with my cable provider, Jim.
Yeah, check with your cable provider. Austin Field says another great show. Thank you, Austin. Amy says grew up with the show Family, and so that was cool to be able to take that on. I've got another wonderful photo here, and then we also have a clip too where we're going to show.
Boy. Oh,
and we're live. Is this your Good Morning Vietnam?
Sort of.
Yeah.
You know, during the lockdown, I had a friend who wrote a song. I don't know if this is the clip you've got, but I had a friend who wrote a song called "Brother You Are" about twin brothers in Vermont.
Look what the comment says.
Enjoying seeing the baby of the family doing what he does very well, talking. Love you, Jim. I love you too, Mom.
We love you, Ella. Both Jims, from Jim and Jim. That's your mom. Yeah, my folks watch, the family watches too. It's nice, huh?
Awesome. Yeah, it is. I had a feeling they were going to be tuning in. But that photo you showed, a music writer, a composer that I've worked with several times, named Michael Roberts, wrote a song about twin brothers in Vermont. This is a real story. They did everything together because they were twins. They were connected. They were in their 60s, and they both died of COVID within a couple of days of each other. And right. He decided to chronicle different stories that people had to deal with through COVID, and he decided to do that through song. And he wrote this song, "Brother You Are," and I went to a studio during the pandemic. I had little booties on, but I was in the booth. I was in the booth at this moment. It's called the Sweet Spot. That, by the way, I took that picture to promote it on social media. And so I went to the Sweet Spot. They were amazing, safe, cleaned everything after every take. But it was a little bit of a risk for me to go out during this time.
Yeah, sure.
But the song was special, and I was getting to sing it with Nick Wyman, who's a bit of a hero of mine.
He's fantastic. Yeah.
Has he been on the show?
Not yet. We have mutual friends in David Friedman,
yes,
and Sean Moniker. Yeah, a whole crowd of friends.
Nick wrote a book recently. I'm sure he'd love to talk about it on the show.
Oh, he's amazing. He was in. Wasn't he in the remake with Bryan Cranston of Network?
Yes.
Yeah.
You could name, if you looked at Broadway over the years and you named 100 shows, he'd probably be in like 50 of them.
Yes.
He's one of those guys, and
Very versatile and
yeah,
classic. Yeah.
and disciplined, like really just. But he's fun.
Yeah. Funny
does,
as anything. Yeah. Very approachable and funny, and
but he does his work, and it's really great to see.
Yeah.
So I got to sing that song with him
and work with him. Yeah, that's incredible. Here's another great shot.
My boys.
Tell us who we have here. That's your production.
That's I'm the executive
producer of them. Or co-producer. Co-producer.
She's the executive producer of that.
Right.
The one with the stick is my son Cameron. He's my oldest. He's at LIU Post studying music theater right now. God bless us all.
The one on Long Island in Brookville?
Yep.
Beautiful campus. Isn't that a beautiful campus?
It's a beautiful campus. It's a very expensive campus.
That's my alma mater.
Is it really?
That's where I went.
No way.
That's where I studied this career. Yes.
No way.
That's where I went.
Okay.
He's a post-toasty.
He's a post-toasty, yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
I worked for the school newspaper, wrote for the newspaper, the radio station, was president of the debate team there at LIU. Yeah.
Were you in the theater program?
Theater program, all of it. Yeah. Yeah. All of it. Television, radio, communications. We did journalism, media law, marketing, writing, producing, just about everything. Yeah. Economics, all of it.
Wow.
But yeah. Small world. Isn't that a small world?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah. I'm sure the tuition is a little bit different now than then.
It's painful, but
it's a great school, and
it's a great school. And just like with my parents, I'm going to make sacrifices so that he can do what he wants.
He wants to do right. Exactly.
And I never.
He lives there. He lives on campus.
He lives on campus.
That's what I did. Yeah. Cause it's such a beautiful campus.
Yeah.
It has everything there, and it's got a great community, and you don't want to not live there. Right. Exactly.
Right. And part of that experience is I want him to learn how to live on his own.
Right. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what you end up doing.
Yeah.
And you grow from that. So he's there, and
he's a sophomore.
Who are the other lads?
The one in the yellow is my middle son, Mason. And he's about to graduate from high school this year. He wants to be an artist. So far 2 for 3. I've got 2 artists, starting artists. Hopefully not, but he graduates this spring, and I once again supporting his art career, or what he's deciding to go into. He hasn't chosen where he's going to do that yet. He's going to be looking into some internships and stuff once the pandemic hopefully slows down, or he can look into that more. And the young man in the red there is the tallest of the family. He is the youngest, but the tallest. He is going to be 15 at the end of May. That's Dylan. So I got Cameron, Mason, and Dylan.
Yeah.
And where
was this taken? It's a great shot.
Thank you. We spent most of the pandemic here in New York. We were sort of forced out of our apartment for a short period of time due to some stuff that was happening in the apartment building, which I won't go into. But we were sort of forced out, and we didn't really have a place to go because everybody was on lockdown. So my sister-in-law was fortunate enough to have a vacation home in West Virginia in the mountains.
Yeah.
And she let us go there for a short period of time last summer. And it was amazing. It was weird because it felt like you were leaving, I was leaving our home.
Everything that you wanted, and yeah. And also that felt sort of sacred during this lockdown. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it was nice to get the heck out of Dodge. But
we were worried about our safety. So but we were able to get down there safely, and we stayed there for several weeks in the summer. And it was in the mountains of West Virginia. There was nobody around.
Right.
It was very healing. It was good.
That's perfect. We all need that. We all need a place to go and get away from it all.
But that was shot. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, so we leave the shot that was my children's.
This is your bedroom. I think you said you captioned this your bedroom.
Well played, sir. Well played. No, this has sort of become an infamous shot. I've put it on my Facebook several times. Yeah. This was not my dressing room at A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. Mm-hmm. This was Jeff Crady's dressing room at A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. Mm. When I was a swing there for a big chunk of time during the run, and that meant I covered 3 roles, and I would go on for whichever one of those roles needed me to go on at any time, right? Right. Well, the very first time I was on, I had my phone with me, and I was taking it with me everywhere because it had my vocal parts on it. And I was listening to it like a recorder, and I was listening to certain parts. And then I would leave my phone and go on stage. Well, one of the times I come back and I go grab my phone and I look, and there's Jeff's picture. And I thought, oh, wait, this isn't my phone, it's Jeff's. And he was like, no, this is my phone. And Jeff took it, and he took this goofy picture of himself and he put it on my phone. And he thought it was the funniest thing ever, right? Well, I told him then, I said, I'm going to get you back. Yeah. I don't know when, but I will get you back. And he was like, yeah, sure. Well, one night I was rehearsing my lines and stuff when they were all on stage, and I was in the guy's dressing room where Jeff was. And I laid down at one point to stretch, and I fell asleep because I was exhausted from learning all these parts. Well, Jeff comes in and he's like, oh, so this is what you do when we're on stage. Slouching off, sleeping on the job. And you do it in our room, because it was not my dressing room. And he's like, what else do you do up here? Yeah. And that was when I was like, that's what I'm going to do. So throughout the rest of my time there, every several days, I would do something else in the room. I would set some kind of prank up. One time I filled the dressing room. Yep. There was one time I filled the dressing room up with balloons. So when he came off stage at intermission, he couldn't get in because there were so many balloons everywhere. Oh, I had them hanging. I had them blown up everywhere. But this particular day, it was my last day in the show. And I was actually on stage that day. I had this whole plan because he had made fun of my headshot. Yeah. He's like, you're still using this headshot? He's like, and he made fun of it. And I was like, okay, I'll remember that too. So on my last day, I got the call that I was on, and I had this big plan to put these pictures all over his room. So all of my understudy friends said, we'll do it for you. Don't worry about it. They were like, we'll take care of it. So at intermission, he came into his room, and that's what we had done to the room. My headshot was everywhere. He went to get paper towels later, and he went to the paper towel dispenser, and they had put headshots in the paper towel dispenser. He went to his refrigerator to get food later, and there was a headshot in the refrigerator. It was everywhere, as you can see. And we cut out my head, and they cut out my head and put it on all of his pictures. Wow. His picture with his wife, Nikki Crady, who's amazing as well. They put my picture on her. So I was married to him for a short period of time. Wow. It was good stuff. That is funny. Here's another shot. Look at this shot. Oh, now you're going to make me cry again. This is a photo from the Palm on 50th Street, where they paint pictures of celebrities and Broadway people up on the wall. I had the amazing good fortune to be on a radio show that Ben Schrader, who was on Broadway in the Book of Mormon, he was doing a radio show from there, and anybody who appeared on the show, they would paint us on the wall.
Yeah.
But they would paint us with the 4 people that we did, or the 4 people together that did the radio show. And this was my group. I had worked with Roger Rees in my Broadway debut in Indiscretion. And then I worked with him later as a director. He directed me in a show at the Guthrie Theater. And I got to do this evening with him where we just sat, ate dinner, and talked. And that's his husband, Rick Ellis, who wrote Jersey Boys. And then the great Broadway actor, Joe Cassidy, was there as well. So to be sort of quote unquote immortalized on that wall with those other three gentlemen is a really special treat for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I deserve to be on the wall at the Palm, but I'll take it.
Absolutely. There's a reason. It's fantastic too.
Yeah.
Who was the artist again?
I don't know. I think the Palm they hire people to paint the folk up on the wall.
Very talented. You know, the image of Roger Rees almost also looks like a very young Pat Harrington. Remember, he was on One Day at a Time with Glenn Scarpelli and Bonnie Franklin.
Yeah.
Doesn't he look a little bit like Pat Harrington there?
He does. Yeah. I thought you were going to say Darren McGavin from Bewitched. Or is it?
Oh, you mean there's Darren was the role, Darren Stevens, but it was either Dick York or Dick Sargent.
Yeah,
Dick York was the first Darren, and Dick Sargent was the second.
He looks like Dick York to me a little bit.
Dick York and Schneider on One Day at a Time, Pat Harrington a little bit. But just really brilliant, whoever that artist is.
They are. I don't know if they get multiple artists at the Palm or just one singular person, but that likeness of them, of all of us, is pretty good.
Yes.
And Roger, rest his soul, Roger was a huge inspiration for me because, like I said, he played the father to Jude Law in my first Broadway show.
Yeah.
And I knew him from Nicholas Nickleby, from watching him in that. And here I was on the stage with him. He couldn't have been nicer or more supportive of me and my journey there. I have a Shakespeare book that he bought for me while I was doing the show with him. And I still use it with my son. My son's a huge Shakespeare fan. And we'll read out of that book that Roger gave me. It reminds me of a story, and this is great advice, I think. At least I think. My mom, when I got cast in Indiscretions.
Ella.
Yes. When I got cast, I was going to be acting opposite Kathleen Turner and Roger Rees and Eileen Atkins and all these people.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit intimidated. And other people were calling into my mom and saying, he's going to be acting with Kathleen Turner. He's going to be on stage with Kathleen Turner. Jim's working with Kathleen Turner.
It's amazing.
She said, wait a second. She said, Kathleen Turner's working with Jim. He's like,
just like a mom would say, yes.
Exactly. And she said it. And when she said that, she told me, she was like, what that means is that she's also an actress working. Yeah. Just trying to make a living doing this thing that she loves.
It's a project to undertake, right? Exactly.
Yes. And it made me feel like, oh, so we're sort of on the same page, rather
tasked with this opportunity.
Exactly. Rather than a hierarchy. And I try really, really hard and sometimes now I don't think I try. It's just sort of who I am. But when I'm doing a show, I try to get to know everybody, on the crew, from the, out in all of the people in the lobby. I try to get to know audience members too, at the
Very
stage door,
important.
because
Yes, very important to do
yeah,
that.
we all create this together, you know.
Or all pieces of the puzzle for the greater good. Yeah, all
Exactly.
pieces. Everybody, the person, the grip, the makeup artist, the lighting person, the script writer, the viewer, the listener, the fan. Everybody is part of the whole thing, and we all get something out of it. And that's kind of like we were talking about in the early part of the show, is this understanding of being unified, and sort of takes a village type thing, a community. And when we're all doing our best and doing what we can, the results can be extraordinary, and we all need each other. Every person has a reason and a purpose, and it's all, maybe this person's great in sales, and this person's great in lighting, and this person's great at building sets, but you need all of those pieces of the puzzle to make the whole thing come together and to be the brilliant production. And it doesn't even have to be in the entertainment world. It could be just in life. And we've become so divided and so separated. Well, if you don't do what I do, and you don't think the way I think, and you just don't live my life, then you're not equal to what I do. And that's crazy, because that person is contributing to the spin of the planet with what they're doing, just as much, as any of us, is, in our various respective roles on this planet.
Yeah. The moment you put yourself above somebody else,
it's all over. Yeah.
It's all over. And it's just not going to work the same.
No.
And I think, as I said, it's a challenge, because sometimes you have issues at home, that you're trying to deal with, or, you see a horrible, like I said earlier, you see a horrible news story that sort of hits you hard. So you're not so nice to the person that you pass by. But if you can, stay on that same level.
Because everybody has a story, and you don't know what that person is going through.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just not their day. Maybe they're physically not feeling well, or maybe they have, a relative who's, near death, or whatever. Maybe they just lost their job, or anything that could be happening. So you never really know. We have actually 3 fabulous videos here. We've been sort of saving them for the latter part of the show. I think with what we're just talking about now, I think A Million Tomorrows would be a really good one to show, because it ties in so perfectly and beautifully into what we were just discussing. And then we can show some of the others. Tell us about this one. This one's extraordinary, and I'm sure you were excited to be a part of it.
I was. This is a song called A Million Tomorrows from the show Wallenberg, which is a show that's been in development for some time for Broadway. It is the story of Raoul Wallenberg, who was a Swedish diplomat, among other things. And he's credited by some people with saving over 100,000 Jews from the Holocaust, saving 100,000 lives.
Yeah.
And the song Million Tomorrows is basically saying, because of this one man who took care to try to do something, he saved all of these lives. And then all of these other people were able to create more lives, and then more lives, and generations, right? So it's because he cared and he did something, he affected thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of lives. And this was a song, I think they put this together to raise some money for Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS. They put this on the internet just a couple weeks ago. They got people who had been involved with the project for years, and also other Broadway folk that they had always wanted to have be part of the project.
Yeah.
So if you're a follower of Broadway and off Broadway, you'll see faces here throughout that you'll know. Really great people.
So really an amazing thing to be a part of, huh?
Yeah, it's this show. It's very moving, and it's very. It's just a big show, and it needs a lot of money. And I hope that maybe this will help raise it. That this show could be done and be seen. It's an amazing story. Some people say, he's up there with Schindler. We know Schindler because of the movie. We need to know about Raoul Wallenberg. He's an incredible person.
And in the words of Ed Sullivan, a great shoe.
Yeah,
it's a great shoe.
It's a great shoe. Really good shoe.
Yeah, you're going to be inspired by this, folks. This is exclusive, and we are so excited to have it here. A Million Tomorrows. Enjoy, and then we'll be back with my very special guest, theater, film, and television actor extraordinaire. And what a great name he has, Jim Stanek. Not Stivic.
No,
Stanek.
not Stivic.
We were talking about that, right?
Yeah.
All right, here's A Million Tomorrows. Enjoy, gang.
There's a mother in Detroit with tears in her eyes, 'cause her daughter took her first steps today.
In London there's a boy whose bar mitzvah's next month, and his grandfather's teaching him to pray.
There's a hush among the guests in a synagogue in Rome, 'cause the wedding music just begun.
There are people all around who are thriving now because of one man.
One man, a million tomorrows,
That's what he gave us, a million more futures that wouldn't have been. Bright sunny mornings and glittering twilights, a million more chances for life to begin.
There's a little boy who lived in a safe house who's now doing stem cell research at Penn.
There's the daughter of a woman he pulled from a train, who helps the unemployed get on their feet again.
The son of a woman he hid in a church is teaching orphans in Afghanistan.
There's a grandma in Berlin who goes around to schools and tells of one man. One man,
A million tomorrows, that's what he gave us, a million more futures that wouldn't have been. Bright sunny mornings and glittering twilights, a million more chances for life to begin. A million tomorrows, that's what he gave us, autumns of orange and summers of green, infinite Tuesdays and countless Decembers, treasures of time we would never have seen. This one has to know that one ordinary person could change the world's entire destiny. A million tomorrows, that's what he gave us, a million more futures that wouldn't have been. Bright sunny mornings and glittering twilights, a million more chances for life to begin.
There's a man on a bike on a street in St. Paul. In the Bronx there's a batter who just hit the ball.
there's a soldier in Russia who's on Tuesday.
There's a grandfather living outside Tel Aviv.
There's a girl learning math in
In LA there's a dad
There's a family of four who
Well, then there's a farmer with a boy in his
There's an
house.
actress in Paris,
In
no
Kiev, there's a man.
A million tomorrows, that's what he gave us, 10 million futures that wouldn't have been. Faith that our people can go on forever. Bright sunny mornings and glittering twilights, infinite Tuesdays and countless Decembers, a
That is really incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a
Yes,
great piece,
bravo to everybody involved.
and I was just a small piece of that, but
But an important piece. Again, it's all takes the pieces of the
yeah.
puzzle.
And that's the thing. When I told you before, when the pandemic happened or when the shutdown happened, and I didn't know how to create art on my own. So
Right.
anytime somebody would call me up and say, "Hey, could you do this for me?" Um, Once again, I love telling their story. So I was like, "Yeah, I will." And that was a show I've been involved with for a long time. I played Per Anger, who was an assistant to Raoul Wallenberg, a man who was reluctant to put his own Per Anger was reluctant to put his own life on the line, but he saw everything that this other guy was doing. And he thought, well, that's the kind of person I want to be. So I'll put my life on the line too. So I got to play him. I've played him many times in workshops and readings of that show. I would love to do it one day in the future. We'll see. But
How long did it take to put that together?
I think it was quite some time. Rick Hip Flores, who's a Broadway conductor and music director, he put the video together, and I think it was several months after we recorded it. We recorded it sometime late last year, and everybody did this in their homes.
And they're in individual locations, socially distanced. I want to show you some of the levity from our international viewers around the world who are deeply moved by what they just saw. And we're so happy that it was shared with us here on the Jim Master Show Live. Denise says, fantastic. Christine Clifton says, powerful and beautiful presentation. Bravo. Austin Field says, very nice song. And Wozniak in Florida says, so beautiful and awesome. Juanita in South Africa, wow, beautifully done. Neil Keene, claps, claps, claps. Kathy Short, claps and triple. Green Irish hearts. And June says, so needed for healing. Really a tremendous, when you have everybody assembled like that, and to be able to do that in that creative way, in a moving, impactful way, with everybody socially distanced, just from a technological, knowing some of that myself working in this industry, that was a monumental feat to pull that together, to get all of that. And then the editing and just all of it. They did a superb job, really. Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't have to do that part.
The editing and all of the,
it was hard enough.
That's called post-production.
Yeah. It was hard enough for me to get the sound going so I could listen and sing, and I was tricky. I'm not used to this whole thing yet.
It's this. Well, we don't use Zoom here for this show, but did you ever think you would hear Zoom other than Boston, Mass, 02134? We're going to Zoom. Public the PBS Kids special. Zoom.
Absolutely. No, I never would have thought.
And now it's a word, or Zoom, Mazda. But now Zoom is a word that has become part of the vernacular in ways that...
I spent Christmas with my family, all on Zoom. Family through Zoom. Yeah.
That is
we did like a concert and a talent show.
See?
Yeah, it was fun.
We have another clip here, too, for everybody's enjoyment. And thanks for joining us, everybody. We hope you guys are having a good time. It's in the 9 o'clock hour here. I'm your host, Jim Masters, live. And this is our Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show series. We have a lot of fun on this show and levity and some inspiring, poignant moments, too. And our very special guest is theater, film, and television actor extraordinaire Jim Stanek is here. 8 Broadway shows and so much more. And this one is Brother You Are. Let's talk about this one.
This was another thing that I was asked to do in the middle of the pandemic. And you showed the picture before from the recording studio. Michael Roberts wrote this song about...
He's coming on the show, too, in a couple of weeks.
I heard. You're going to love him, too. Michael wrote a lot of the music for Remember WENN, Remember When, back on A&E. He wrote the show Goldstein that I was a part of as well, off Broadway a couple of years back. But he called me. He wrote this song about the Boyd twins in Vermont. They did everything together, and then they passed within 3 days of each other, I think, or three. It's in the video. He wrote this song, so I went to the studio. I recorded it with Nick Wyman, who's like a hero of mine. And I think I told you in the email, I don't love my vocal performance in this. I knew you talked about it last night with your guest that of
Adam Jacobs, Aladdin.
Yeah, how you feel about like hearing your work back. It depends piece to piece. I sometimes pick it apart, but thank you for liking Goldstein, by the way, and you're welcome, Jennifer. I don't love my vocal performance because I was locked inside and I stopped singing for a long time. But I wanted to lend my voice to this piece. And then if we get to the end, you'll notice that I got to the end and I had a tough time making it to the end because I have 3 brothers. I have a sister. I have family that I've been missing throughout this whole experience. And I was singing this really beautifully poignant song about these 2 brothers that did everything together and then passed together. Almost at the same time because of that simpatico.
Yeah, right.
So I had a tough time getting the last note out because I was about to explode on the floor. But they kept it because they liked that.
Because it was authentic, it was real, it was emotional. It wasn't just singing the song. There was a lot in it that comes out that they could not have probably envisioned or scripted or done another take on. It had to be then and there and now for it to be captured. Smart move on the great producers. Smart move on their part. They know. Keep it in. Because people will identify with it. Yeah. They'll hear elements of their own lives in it. So we're going to share it with our audience here on JMS Live, and enjoy, folks. And we'll be back with the wonderful Jim Stanek. Here we go.
My way, brother, you are. Who's the start of my day, brother, you are. Who's there tapping the trees, brother, you are. Who's there shooting the breeze, brother, you are. Who is with me when the cold wind blows? Who is with me in the mountain snows? Who is going my way, brother, you are. Sharing a laugh, brother, you are. Who is my other half, brother, you are. In the mirror it is you I see. You're my reflection staring back at me. Who is going my way, brother, you are. Singing songs we've known all these years, passing out tunes like souvenirs. And who is leaving today? Brother, you are. Who is dimming the day? Brother, you are. If you tell me that your time is through, brother, I will walk away with you. Who is leaving today? Brother, you are.
It's incredibly moving, intense, and beautiful. Really, really beautiful, huh?
Yeah,
That-
I didn't know Leon and Cleon, but I did know a couple of folk who succumbed to this. I've got a friend from back in Cranberry who's fighting COVID right now and fighting hard. Yeah, I didn't know them, but I felt like I wanted to tell their story, and I appreciate that Michael wanted me to be one of the ones who told it.
I want to show you some of the feedback here on our show. Austin Field says a beautiful song. And I'm sure he's feeling that too, because he has a brother that he's very close to. Ann Wozniak, wow, so moving. She is in Florida. Christine Clifton says another powerful song and so touching. Amy, who appreciates a good lyric. She's a wonderful poet. What a sweet song. June is saying fabulous. And Juanita is saying most beautiful song. June, ever the lyricist, has actually no words that she can express. So that goes deep when somebody who's a writer or a lyricist has no words. That means that you've struck a chord. Beautiful from Kathy Short in Cleveland, who's never short on beautiful comments. Neil Keane, this is a beautiful song, beautifully performed. I am crying. Yeah. Gee, if you had added in a cello in that, I think I'd be on the floor too. Not to give anybody any ideas, the cello knocks me out too.
Yeah.
But that song is, that's really beautiful. And that can be Jennifer Barry in Allentown, Pennsylvania, Allentown.
Hey.
Magical, meaningful song. That could be at this point really for any of us and for anybody. It could be for a partner, a dear friend, a cousin, a sister, a brother, a mother, a father, anybody that you care about, where, that's one thing we talked about, with this show, the empathy, the compassion that's been lacking. It's so funny. Everybody's been complaining about that. Everybody's been complaining about, where's all the nice people? Nobody says please. Nobody says thank you. Nobody holds the door anymore. It's all road rage and fighting and yelling and screaming and, this versus that and them versus us and all of this. And nobody really doing much about it until this happened. And I don't know if you've heard me say this before. I've said it a couple of times before. I actually said it when I interviewed somebody who was the head of marketing and sales for Google, who left the corporate world and is now a life coach. And in my professional work on the radio today, I had a wonderful conversation interviewing him, and he's just a really wonderful person. And I mentioned to him, as I've said on this show, I think what happened in the springtime is that there was a meeting of a couple of energies, the divine, planet Earth, and Mother Nature. And they came together and they said, enough, knock it off, enough. We gave you this beautiful life. We gave you all this opportunity. We've given you sunshine, the ocean, the bountiful riches of this planet. We gave you life, and you're tearing each other apart. You're fighting, you're killing, all the, the shootings, the violence, the yelling and screaming and attacking, and, this following all the superficial nonsense as opposed to the simple, important, deep things in life that in the end are what really matter. And so here's what we're going to do. And we're not going to affect the animals. It's not going to affect the sun rising or setting. It's not going to affect the trees or the ocean or any of that. It's going to affect you guys, the humans, because you're making a mess and a mockery of all of these gifts we've given you. So the divine, Mother Nature, planet Earth, who really run the show, not us, came together in the springtime and said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to throw a pandemic at you, global on top of it. We're going to take money out of the wallet. If the pandemic doesn't do anything to you, then those who money is the only thing that matters, well, we're going to take a little of that too. And then the civil upheaval, and then the political craziness. And we're going to throw all that at you at the same time, at the start of a new decade, a decade that sounds hopeful. 2020 sounds fantastic, doesn't it? Wow, 2020. It sounded good when it was not 2020. And we're going to see how you deal with it. We're going to see if you come back through this empathetic, compassionate, and you're going to pull together, or you're going to tear each other apart. We have seen elements of people tearing each other apart, people pushing and shoving in stores and yelling and just all this stuff that's gone on. We've seen the worst, but we've also seen a lot of people not just at home baking bread with their family and cleaning the closets and all those things, which are wonderful, and maybe writing the book you've always wanted to write, or taking up a hobby you've always wanted to do, but really reaching out to one another and caring for one another. We've tried to do that as much as possible. In all the years I've done television and radio, this show, sort of the time came in the spring where the planes were not flying, and I was supposed to be in Ireland, Texas, and Florida on TV shoots and all, and the planes were grounded. I was still working in television and radio, but certain other things like those flights to on-location shoots didn't happen. So I said, you know what? For years, people told me to create a show like this, Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show Series. Why don't I do it now? Flip the switch, just talk to everybody, and then maybe some guests will come on. And now, it's a plethora of fabulous guests like yourself, and see what happens with it, and see if it works, see if we want to continue it. And it's grown into this beautiful scenario that it is now. And so I think that that's what happened. These three energies came together and said enough. And they actually gave us an opportunity to unify and heal and come together, and almost like a second chance. There's many, unfortunately, who didn't make it through because of, illness and the things that have happened, and they cannot be forgotten ever. But those of us who are here, who are healthy, who are trying to do what we can to stay healthy and do all the things that we should do for one another, because some of the steps that we're doing aren't just for ourselves, it's to help you. And I think a lot of people forget that, when I'm doing certain things, I'm doing it because it's helping you, because I don't want anything to happen to you. So maybe you can do the same. So that's what I think has happened. And we've had this monumental pivot that the only people that could have ever scripted it are Stephen King, the novelist, Rod Serling from The Twilight Zone, or Steven Spielberg could have ever scripted 2020 and everything that has happened. So that's what I think happened. And I think beautiful things like what we just saw, and we have one more video too, came out of all of this. And I think we'll have these long lasting impacts on all of our lives for the rest of our lives.
I told my boys, because you're trying to tell kids who want to go out and want to see friends and that they can't do that, right? And also trying to coach them into taking care of others and taking care of their family by not going out and getting this thing, right? I told them, and I don't know if this is deep or not, but what I came up with was that there was a pandemic in the 1917 to 1919, I think, right?
The Spanish flu.
Yeah. And a lot of people's stories ended. They were here on the planet and they were telling stories. And that's why I always tell my son who's at school for theater, I tell him break a leg, but then I to take away all the other stress, I say, just tell a good story.
Right.
Don't worry about it, just tell a good story. So all these people's stories ended back in between 1917 and 1919. But there were a lot of people who got through that and still had stories to tell. And they told the stories of the people who weren't able to make it through. Well, I told them, we have to do whatever we can because I want to still tell stories.
Mm-hmm.
And, here I am telling the story of these two gentlemen who were not able to be around. So it's my job.
Mm-hmm.
And I want my kids and I want all of the people I love. I would like it if tomorrow not one more person anywhere
had any sort of issue right.
Yeah. But we all have to take care of each other so we can tell each other's stories.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Absolutely. It's you're so right. You're so spot on, my friend. We've got another great video here that we want to share as well, and hope everybody's enjoying this. Levity, poignant moments, inspiring moments. We learn something. It's a real hodgepodge and potpourri on the Jim Master Show live every night. This is Alone Part 2.
Alone? Oh, they gave you what? Did they give you this the clip of us singing?
Yeah, Alone Part 2. Our friends at the Goodspeed. We love them.
Okay.
The last time I was there, Julie Andrews was directing a play. I forget the name of it, but she was there. Yeah, it was not there. It's like 2 years ago or something, and it was Julie Andrews, and she was directing it.
Yeah.
And I happened to be on a TV shoot for a lifestyle travel TV series that I host on CBS stations. And afterwards, they met at a restaurant as well. She was fantastic. But then we didn't realize when we went on to do our TV shoot that that's where they were also going for dinner. And it was wonderful.
I got to meet Julie Andrews.
She's spectacular.
That first job. Yes, she is. That first job that I told you about at the Bay Street Theater in Long Island.
Yes.
Her daughter ran that theater.
Her daughter was there with her. Yeah. Yes.
And so we did a big celebration and talent show on New Year's Eve, 1995, which I invited my wife up from Pittsburgh to see and asked her to move in with me in New York after that. And Julie Andrews was there and she hosted it. She didn't perform, but she hosted it. And I got to meet her before and after, and she was spectacular.
Yeah, she really, yeah.
She's a treasure.
That you were pinching yourself.
One of the many moments where I've thought, really, is this happening?
Yeah. And then you broke into supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Nope. Tried not to do that. I did everything I could not to.
On the car ride home.
That's right.
Here is Alone Part 2. Enjoy, everybody.
Hey son, I know that I've been out of touch, and it's hard to say why I had to go, but I had to go. You're probably thinking you can't trust me much. I just cheat and I just lie. I should crawl somewhere and die, and if you do, that's how things go. But I still love your mother. I still love your mother. And I still love you. And I still love you. That might sound confusing, but it's true. Nothing's ever simple. Nothing's ever but simple. It's what I had to do. You had to do. I've always searched for answers, just like you.
Stop. This isn't me, this isn't how I feel. I've moved on, my life is whole. And I'm not you, I'm not like you.
Just keep looking back.
No, you're just a memory, no, this isn't real. I'm doing fine, mine. I'm in control. You're not the song of my soul. And God help me if I'm anything like
Just
you.
keep looking back.
I may have to live as your son, but I'll never forgive what you've done.
Really nice, I tell you. You know, you say,
That was cool.
well, you say you're not like happy hearing your voice. I think it's great. Matter of fact, in that other clip, it has a little like Brother You Are, that I hear a little like Paul Simon-ish in there. Little sounds a little Paul Simon in the Brother You Are clip.
I'll take it.
We thank our friends at Goodspeed Musicals again for some of those photos as well as that clip. We appreciate them, and everybody should support them as well. They put on amazing productions, and they've done it for years, and we've seen many of them. So tell us a little bit more about Alone Part 2. That really was something else to be a part of that too, huh?
Yeah, that was the moment you showed a picture earlier where I said the father is trying to plead his case. That's earlier in the show, where he's sort of pleading his case as to why he left the family.
Yeah.
You know, because as this kid's walking across the country, one of the things he's dealing with is his relationship with his father that's no longer there.
Yeah.
And he's meeting all these other people that have great relationships with their families, and some don't and some do, but it keeps reminding him of what he lost. And, you know, as I said earlier, I love telling stories, and I love trying to bring out the humanity. And there's a song later that happens between us in the desert where I really tried really hard that even though my character, he was a jerk, he made big mistakes, but he still had love for his kid.
Yeah.
And I try to make it happen there too. Is like, look, I know we're bad. I know things have broken apart, but there's still love there.
Right.
I can have some bad moments, but still care about you. So I enjoy telling those stories, and I that's another show that I hope has a life. I think it deserves a life. I would like to be the one to tell that story. We'll see.
When you look at all of this extraordinary body of work, Jim, are there a few productions that you are extra close to? Is there one that is your ultimate favorite? I know it's very, very hard to answer a question like that because they're all like children. They're all like your babies. You've wrapped up with emotion and blood, sweat, and tears and sacrifice and training and all of that, pouring yourself into all of the things you've been involved in, like we all do when we really care and we strive for excellence. But are there a couple of productions that you look at and you were like, that there was just something extra special for you about being a part of that?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You try to connect to each show or each job that you have. Forum, a funny thing happened on the way to the Forum, is a big one because that was my first role that was mine, and it lasted for 2 years. And it was a comedy, so it was light and joyful. So that's a big one. Another really big one for me was Fun Home on Broadway.
Oh yeah.
Because it was an extraordinary production. I got to go on 37 times and play that role of that father, who is one of the most complicated characters I've ever gotten to play. He's a closeted homosexual who has a family with a wife and 3 kids. He's fastidious and restores old homes. He lashes out, but he still provides for his family. That was an incredible experience. And we were telling a story in Fun Home that was affecting so many people. Parents that had children who were part of the LGBT community, members of the LGBT community who either had trouble coming out or had horrible stories of coming out, or there were kids whose family came out to them, and them seeing that show healed them and helped them get through moments in their life that they had difficulty. That's probably one of the biggest as well. When you get into this business, you want to do things, if you can, you want to try to do art that changes people. And that was a piece of art that, I was playing the father, who was a heavy character, not the warmest character in the world. When I went on, I would go out to the stage door afterwards, and there were people that would say, "Can I hug you?" And it would be like, "Why? Did you not see the show?" And I think there were some folks that just wanted to connect.
Right.
There was a young man who came up to me, and he had another young man with him. And he said, and I had just played the father, and he came up and he wanted to say something, but he couldn't. He was fighting through tears, which happened to a lot of people who saw Fun Home. But this young man couldn't get words out. So his partner took over, and he said, he just recently came out to his family. I'm his boyfriend, and his family did not take the news well. And he said that he was outed by the grandmother, and this show was healing him. And he was like, could he give you a hug? And I was like, yes. And to make a connection with somebody like that. And there were many.
I would imagine that it wasn't just a role, but you also felt this tremendous responsibility as well, didn't you?
Absolutely. Another gift of that show, there was a show that I was on again. Michael Cerveris was out of the town doing, and he never misses shows, but he was out of town doing a TV series. And we performed for 17 representatives from the UN, men and women from all over the world that were there. And they wanted to, some of these places, they wanted to understand more about this family because they were from countries where they kill LGBT men and women and transgender men and women. So that was a gift. I got to perform for them, and we talked to them afterwards, and they shared their stories. And that was a show that I got to do again in San Diego in 2019. And I'm hoping that whenever the theaters open up again, that somebody will do Fun Home and that I can play that father again. It is one of the most difficult roles I've ever played because he is very unfeeling. And what he really wants to say, he can't. So you never actually get to have a moment where you get all of that stuff off your chest on stage.
We probably all know at least one or two people in our lives that are like that.
Yeah. But he's so, the point is it's a terrible role to play. It's very difficult, but he's essential to the story.
Right.
And if the story doesn't get told, young men and women that I told you about that wanted to reach out, they don't get affected by it. So if anybody's going to tell it, I want to be one of those people. And the last show I would say is a show that I understudied on Broadway. Unfortunately, we only lasted 5 performances, and it was called The Story of My Life. And that is a show about it's just 2 men, and it's about a lifelong friendship. And I've gotten to play that role. I've played both parts, and I've done that show 3 times now. And that's another show that means so much to me. It's about people repairing each other and repairing friendships and relationships. It's kind of show you want to call a friend after.
Right.
Somebody that had an impact on you when you were growing up and just say, thank you. sort of what I was saying at the beginning of the show, thanking all those people that
Those people in your life who really made a difference, and they saw a light in you that was shining, and they helped foster that. And yeah,
they kept
that's
the flame going.
yeah, absolutely. And it certainly has, my friend, and continues to. What are some of those blessings and joys in your life that help you continue to inspire and create? Obviously, this year has been unprecedented, or I'd say this year it's 2021 and we're still dealing with a lot of different things. But what are some of the things overall in your life and today that keep you grounded and wanting to create and connect and share the communal experience of life?
My wife, first and foremost, because at the toughest times, she continues to carry on and sort of push us and pull us along.
Right.
That's my wife is a big part of me, and my kids, of course, but also my extended family, my brothers, my sister. We don't all have the same relationships we had when we were growing up. But as I told you before, I can look back to certain moments where each of one of those siblings shaped me for who I am now. Despite, regardless of what our relationships are right now, there was something that I've gotten out of it. Tried to reconnect with all of them throughout this. So that and my mom, my dad, of course. But the other thing that drives me is people like you, honestly, that you get up here and you do this show every night. And I'm not sure, but we might be breaking a record for your longest show ever. I'm not sure.
Scott Schwartz, who starred in Christmas Story and The Toy with Richard Pryor and Jackie Gleason. He had a lot he wanted to share about his life, and he went 6 hours.
Wow. Wow.
That's probably the topper. There's a few others that came sort of close, but hey, it's freestyle, conversational, and people are like, how could you go that long, Jim? How could I, giving of the time and doing it? I'm like, hey, I enjoy this. I'm very communal, and I'm learning, and I'm sharing, and we're connecting, and it's and the key too is, and I tell people, everybody says, boy, you always make it so easy and so calming and so reassuring. And that's part of the automatic pilot persona. And that's, the authentic me. I'm like that. But at the same time, it's an unusual dichotomy, because at the same time, as I am calm, cool, collected, all cylinders are firing. It's like a sport. The adrenaline is spot on. I hear everything. I see everything. I'm aware of the surroundings and every little thing that's going on. Yet at the same time, I could be calm and centered. And I think it's because, especially with live, and live, I love live radio, live television, live stage. I've done a lot of scripted stuff too, a lot of teleprompter and all of that. But I really love live things because you're on. That anything can happen, and sometimes it does. Right. And it's up to you to make magic. And I've been in many situations where I've been live on national television, regional television, local television, and radio, where things really went awry. I mean, the other co-host got sick. Lights burned out, sets fell. I was on PBS once where I had to keep talking for about 45 minutes straight, and they couldn't cut to anything else because I was on with the program director for one of the PBS stations, and we were doing actually a pledge drive, and we were talking about the British comedies and all the great Britcom shows. And the master control people come running into the TV studio where we're live, and they're trying to wave down the national program director, who happened to be co-hosting with me that night. And they're trying to get his attention, like, we need you right now. We need you right now. And he's like, hey, trying to give them the hand, like, I'm on right now. We're on live. And like, oh, we need you now. So he gets called out of the studio, and the camera's on me. and there was nowhere else to go. They couldn't toss it to another show, and there's no commercial breaks. So they had to leave the camera on and leave me on talking to the camera about the virtues of public television and supporting public television and all the great shows that we've been involved in over the years. And the co-host was not returning. So what had happened was the master control department upstairs in the television studio realized that they were doing a 2-part British comedy episode. I guess there was a part 1 and there was a part 2. And they ran part 2 first. So part 2 was ending and the credits were rolling, and they were short like by 50%, by an hour of time, because they hadn't run part 1. So the show was ending and they had nothing else to air because the tape was mislabeled or whatever it was. So they had to call him out to help him, or he had to help them figure out, as the program director, what do we do next? How are we going to solve it? We just played part 2 and we just ended the show, but part 1 was never seen. So there he's upstairs on the 6th floor figuring that out. The producer that I'm with, who I worked with for years, she's since retired, is just like talking in the IFB, which is like, this is a headphone here, but it's kind of like an IFB in a normal television or radio situation, especially television, where I would be hearing the director talking to me. Jim this, Jim move over here, Jim turn, Jim show that, or whatever. So in the IFB, I'm hearing the producer in a very panicked voice, and usually she's calm, cool, and collected. She says, just keep going. Just say something. Just keep we have no other programming to go to, and we can't just go to black. So at the same time, it was really cool. She was also floor managing, and she was coming from behind the camera, and she was giving me, sliding under the camera where you couldn't see it, like say here, like below here, everything that she could hand me to say, and we also have the tote bag available. And then I would put that down, and she would take it out of camera view and hand me the next thing. I had no idea what that next thing was until I lifted it up and looked at it. Oh, we also have the DVD set you can get too. It's really amazing. And it was like 20 different things that.
And at one point you're like, this is the Kleenex box.
This is the Kleenex box, and we're going to come home and make dinner for you. And people say, how did you possibly even? And I'm like, it was one of my most favorite moments ever, because the entire station, everything, the viewers at home, the management, the crew, everybody involved in the television station was totally reliant on me making magic and pulling it off. And I was reliant on me to make magic and pull it off. And we did. And it looked like it was all natural and it was all normal. And it was, all cylinders were firing. I was totally on point, on game, in the zone. And when I do any of this, I am totally. It just looks like I'm very Dean Martin-esque, but inside.
Yeah.
Which is kind of an interesting thing. And so, yeah, if you do what you love what you do. None of it is a job, right?
That's
None
true.
of it's a job.
It's true. And you try to just, you sort of fuel yourself with that. I was super nervous tonight because I don't do me well, or like I do, but my feeling is that, I like, as I said, I like telling other people's stories, but
versus having the camera light focused on you.
Yeah. But watching you talk to other people, I knew, I think I wrote to you and said that you reminded me of like Cousin Bruce Morrow. You know Cousin Brucey?
Mm-hmm.
I appeared.
Legend. Yeah.
Yeah. And I appeared on the Variety Children's Telethon when he used to host that.
Yes.
I sang with Jessica Bovers, now Jessica Bogart, who was my filia in Forum. And I sang on the show, and I was just amazed at, he just kept that show going. I would watch it, and he would just be like, okay, coming up next is this person, and we're here, and keep calling. And you're like, how are you doing
Like,
that?
where is it coming from?
Yeah.
There's nothing in front of him telling him to do that, right?
But also hearing these emotional stories and having to deal with that and welcome new people on. And so I watched several of your shows, and I knew that that's how you made guests feel, was just comfortable. But I was still nervous tonight. I think the main thing was, like I said, letting people into my home. It feels really personal. But at the same time, I do love telling stories. And if anybody's still listening, I wanted to share.
They are.
Oh, good.
They're in for the long haul, just like Dallas said. I'm in for the long haul. Oh, the Lovities are here, and let me tell you, it's amazing. I just find it amazing. They write to me all the time on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We've got a Facebook page for the show, JMS Live Lovity Hall. They are very interactive with me and me with them, and it's just this wonderful relationship. And they will, like, if they miss anything, they apologize. And I'm like, yeah, but you had to work late at the hospital. Don't apologize. You can watch it in the archives later. We save everything at Jim Masters TV on YouTube in the archives. You don't have to worry about that. And it's just this, it's a beautiful thing. It really is a beautiful thing.
I've seen you have a lot of people that are the Lovities that are, consistent. And there's one, Kathleen Walker, I think.
Kathleen, yes.
She's not here tonight.
You know why? You know why? She's working. Yes, you watched last night with Adam Jacobs. She works with the New York Mets, and I think they have a night game, so she's there tonight and tomorrow. And
I was like, of all the shows you're gonna miss, you're gonna miss mine.
She's at Citi Field in Flushing, Queens right now, doing her thing.
Well, you were missed, Kathleen. So
she'll see it in the archives. That's the thing. They'll write to me and say, "Oh, Jim, I caught it in the archives, or I missed the first part, or I missed the last half," and they go to the archives and they watch it because. Well, actually, it's really cool. I forget who the person was. Maybe Christine remembers. There was a couple of the viewers, Lovities, who said, maybe it was Danilo in San Diego, who said, "You are a very bingeable Mr. Lovity," meaning that these shows are bingeable. You can watch one and then you want to watch the next one and you want to see what we're talking about, what we're doing on the next one. Because I've done shows too where there's no guest because it was a pop-up show. I didn't schedule a guest, and it's like an afternoon on a Friday or a Saturday. And we did 2 hours just talking about food and recipes, just me and the viewers commenting back and forth. We did a whole St. Patrick's Day show where the whole set was all green. I had a green hat on and green sweater. And we were looking back at some of the Irish artists who've been on the show. And
oh, wow.
We did a Valentine's Day show where the whole set was red and I was in red, and we were toasting, and we had Valentine's meal, all these cool things. And I try to have fun with it, be creative, while we have the opportunity to do that. Yeah. Like June says, double Jims make magic. Absolutely. I said, you can call me James, you can call me Jim, you can call me Jimmy, just don't call me late for supper.
There you go.
Mr. Binge. Mr. Binge. I don't know if you know the wonderful composer and pianist Jimmy Roberts.
I do.
He was on the show back in the fall, and he was fantastic. Yeah. And he was commenting he was telling me, actually he wrote to me personally, he said people were commenting afterwards about the conversation. I don't even call these interviews. These are conversations. Yeah. So how much they really enjoyed the show. They enjoyed him being on it. They enjoyed our camaraderie and the interaction and the fun we had and the warmth that we created. And one of his followers wrote to him on his social media, and then he sort of copied and pasted it in his email and sent it to me. And I never heard the expression before, but I think it's kind of cool. She said, and I'll take it, she said, Jim she's not saying this to me. She's saying it to Jimmy Roberts. Yeah. She says, Jim Masters is a Mr. Rogers for adults.
Sure.
So she's telling him that, and he says, I've got something here I got to show you, Jim.
I did Jimmy's I Love You Perfect Now Change off Broadway for a big chunk of time.
Right.
I played both roles.
That's right.
And I loved Jimmy's music. There's a couple of songs in that show. Susan's amazing.
Yes. Juanita says you did great considering you were nervous.
Oh, thank you.
Jim, you did pretty good for someone being nervous. Mr. Loverty worked his magic. Great conversation. Thank you for your time and sharing your stories, career, and beautiful music with us. Juanita watching in South Africa, where it's already tomorrow.
Oh, well, I hope it's a good day. Thanks, Juanita.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Here's the father. You were brilliant, my friend. Susan is one of those folk from the Comtra that from my community theater that I'm still in touch with. She comes up to New York. She comes up to different places and sees me in shows. And she's an amazing
Fantastic person.
Super supportive. And I would love one day to be able to get into a room with all those people again.
Could you imagine? Well, hopefully, right?
I hope so too.
Hopefully. That's right. It was you, Juanita. Juanita said it. It was me, Gary, who watches in Iowa. Gary said you're bingeable, and I said we'll call you the bingeable Mr. Loverty.
Nice.
That is funny. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We love our Jim. What a great show. Thank you for visiting with us, Jim.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. I think the Loverty, the whole idea that you've created a word and created a group of folks who identify with that word. I think it's incredible. And I hope I'm an honorary Loverty. I would love to come back again.
You will.
You
spread the word. Tell everybody about the show.
I've been trying. It's tricky. When you're not good at social media, I'm not on that often. So when I am on, I think it confuses people. And
yeah,
it's like he wants us to what? He's never on. I was trying to put it out there, and
now they can see it in the archives.
That's right. And I will. I'll let people know, and I hope people will tune in with you. And like I said, just find a moment of calm. Take in whatever guests that you get on, and you get really great people just from a whole wide variety of entertainment and sports. Oh, one thing. Tomorrow,
Patrick McEnroe.
Well, I did Into the Woods up in Patchogue. I did a concert of Into the Woods with his wife, Melissa Errico.
Oh, yes, that's right. And she was a guest on our show.
Oh, yes. She was. Well, we did Into the Woods. And I don't know if you are familiar with Justin Squiggs Robertson. Oh, yeah, sure. Justin Robertson is, I feel like the artist that depicts Broadway the best now. We had, and I'm blanking on his name right now. I can't believe it. There's a theater named after Al Hirschfeld. Oh, sure. Yeah. But I believe that Justin is the Hirschfeld of our times. And he does, when he sees something that moves him, he will put it in art. Well, he saw the Into the Woods that we did in Patchogue, and he drew us all together. So this is his, where is it? This is his version of me as the baker. And this is his version of Melissa Errico, wife of Patrick McEnroe, who is going to be on the show tomorrow night. And he drew us together. And this is Alice Ripley as the witch. Constantine Maroulis, the former American Idol and contestant and rock star and Broadway star now, as one of the wolves. Alan Maroka from Sesame Street, as we all know, took over Hooper's store. And he depicted us all in this drawing, and I keep it up on my wall usually. I took it down for tonight. I wanted to show you that. That is really something special. once again, another little bit of a our worlds colliding kind of thing. When I saw that Patrick was going to be on, I was like, wait.
That is absolutely amazing. Love that. Love that. Let's see. Walk. Hi, Jims. Yes, Jim and Jim. I'm watching from Delaware and enjoying learning more about my cousin Jim. So that's your cousin.
Yes.
Fantastic.
I was hoping some family would jump on.
They're calling you too. To say, right? Is that what that was? The phone? They're calling to say bravo, bravo.
That was my alarm to feed my cats.
Mary Bishop in Florida says it was a wonderful show, Jim and Amy. Thank you, Mary. And Amy says, you've earned your Loverty badge, Jim.
Yay.
And Christine Clifton says, Justin Squiggs Robertson is brilliant. I love it. Good stuff. This was really great. I hope the show met whatever expectations you had, believe it or not. And I always ask the guests in advance, how long do you have? Do you have something you have to do? Is there somewhere you have to go? Even sometimes I have something I have to do right after it. But so they know that if they want to roll and we just chat, we just let it roll. There's no time clock to it. And sometimes when you let it roll, you get some absolutely magical moments as a result of letting it roll. A lot of times when there's a conversation or an interview, it's ask these questions, answer these questions, promote the book out. And, I've done that kind of work too, but it doesn't have the same zest as when you just have a freestyle conversation. You bring in viewers and you just let it roll. And it's like we're all in the same room, right? We're all just having a gathering. And that's the kind of feel that I think a lot of the old school television hosts and presenters and talk show hosts used to do it. And it was warm and Dick Cavett and all of them, funny and warm and conversational. And again, with the modern twist. And I think, that's what we do here. And I hope the show met whatever expectation that you had of it and you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you, my friend.
It did. I'm so sorry. I think something's happening with my computer as we talk. I think one of my kids is trying to play Jackbox games.
Is that what that noise is? Boy, boy.
It is.
I thought that was your stomach getting hungry.
It's with the cats. No, I was trying to stop it. I want to tell you that it did meet my expectations. I hope that we were able to keep people entertained and bring some levity all over the world for several hours. We did not talk about how long I had. So I have to give credit to my wife and my two kids. They have been in our one bedroom this whole time. Because I didn't get to talk about this. We live in
God bless them.
We live in a 450 square foot, one bedroom apartment, all five of us. Wow. And that made the pandemic difficult as well.
That's a reality show in the making right there.
It is. It is. But I have to give them credit for staying in there for all of this time.
Yeah. Thank them profusely for us too. And that reminds me, I interviewed this up and coming Irish singer, and he was in Dublin, and he was at his university in Dublin. His name is Oscar Blue. And I think he's probably about 20, 21. He's still in college. And he said that he was with his dorm mates, his roommates, 5 other guys in the same dorm room at the university. And what he did, I don't know how he pulled this off, but he was somehow able to have all 5 of the other guys go into the kitchen and not make a sound. Now, could you imagine, like back in college, trying to get 5 other roommates or what have you, if you had 5 roommates who were hanging out with you, and tell them, hey, I got to do this American TV conversation type thing, and please go in the kitchen and not say anything for a while?
No.
So what they did was some of them commented and were saying hi to him in the comments. Says, oh yeah, that's Ryan, and that's Dominic, and that's this one.
I'm surprised I haven't had comments yet saying feed the cats.
Well, June's getting hungry. June says, I want to meet for dinner when we can all gather again. We should do that. We should definitely get together and
I would
break
love
bread. It would be fantastic. I would love to do that. Wonderful conversation tonight, Jim and Jim. Thanks so much.
Thank
You are
Kat.
very welcome. So again, it was really a delight and a pleasure to have you here. And again, our friend George Burns says thank you for joining us, and he had a wonderful time as well.
Groot says the same.
I tell you, with our mothers watching, they're saying, look at those Jims. They are kids again, Jimmy and Jimmy.
That's the truth.
That's
the
it.
truth.
Well, you're the best. You take care.
Thank you, Jim. You too.
Spread the word if you know of other people you think would like to hop on. And the link, the YouTube link is there. You can share it with the world. And
I will.
they can see this episode again. And Neil Keane says, well done, you Jims. The Stanek guy might just make it after all. That's right.
With support like that, I will. Thanks,
That's
Neil.
right. That's right. As long as you remember, it's Stanek, not Stivik.
That's right. Don't call me meathead.
Don't call her meathead. You're the best. You take care. Go stretch those legs. Did you eat yet?
I'm going to now. Thank
You know what? I have to tell. It's usually the West Coast guests where, it's a little bit earlier. When we do our emailing, I'm going to say, make sure you eat before you come on. Sometimes we do the show just for an hour because somebody has to run. But
Right.
But this was cool.
I had a little. I just, I had enough to keep me going.
But you're going to have a good snack now.
Maybe.
My friend, thanks for joining us. It was a pleasure, and we will. Hearts coming in from June. Thank you so much, June. We will see you again soon. And again, I hope you enjoyed yourself tonight.
I did, Jim. Thank you. And thank you, Lovities, for letting me be here. I appreciate it.
It is our pleasure. You have a good night. Take care. Be well.
You too, sir. Thank you.
You're
Bye-bye.
welcome. Bye-bye. Jim Stanek, good to have him with us here on the Jim Masters Show live. And are your family, this hat wants to fly right off. Have you seen me like playing with it all night long? It's like, just stay there. Just stay there for 5 more minutes. That's all I need. Because if I don't, the hair comes out. Juanita says, your family is amazing. Absolutely. And hey, we didn't see your chair. There, let's see. Now they are happy. Now they can sleep tonight. There it is. There's Jim Stanek's chair live on the Jim Masters Show live. He's right. It's a stool. Could you imagine him? He's been sitting on that hard piece of wood for 3 hours. This episode sponsored by Preparation H.
I never let it show, just like you when you were on that show talking for 45 minutes.
You just go.
I had to do what I had to do.
We are professionals. Thanks again, Jim. You have a good night. Take care.
You're welcome. You too, Jim. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. The whole chair thing is because sometimes some of our guests have had to run out to get something they want to show and display on the show. Sometimes a child runs into the room, or sometimes their dog or cat jumps on their lap, and it's always great. Or sometimes their battery starts to go and they have to charge up the phone, charge up the laptop. So they have to get out of the chair. And sometimes it's me, split screen, and the other screen just has their backdrop and a chair. So we have so many episodes where we've just seen the guest's chair. So it's a running joke here at the Jim Masters Show live now, where I think we're going to take some of the best of where we see chairs, and we're going to re-air a half hour of chairs, and I'll pop on sort of like a game show and say, hey, do you remember who sat in that chair? Which guest sat in that chair? And we've seen everything, but that was the first time we saw a wooden stool. We saw leather couches with fireplaces. We've seen leather swivel chairs. We've seen it all. And Jennifer's happy. The chair, hooray. And I know Juanita's happy as well. She loves the chair. And Jennifer wants Jim back. We will have Jim back for sure. He'll keep us posted on all the cool things that he's doing. And again, if you missed any of this episode, well, all you have to do is see it on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. He mentioned Patrick McEnroe, and he is right. Tomorrow night, tennis star, pro, and ESPN correspondent Patrick McEnroe is with us tomorrow live. It's going to be an amazing show. And his brother, of course, is the one and only John McEnroe. His wife is Melissa Errico, the Broadway star who was a guest on our show a few weeks ago. I don't know if you knew that. So Patrick's going to be with us tomorrow night live, and it's going to be really, really exciting. And we look forward to having him here on the show. We've really have some amazing guests that are going to be popping up on our show. Really looking forward to it. On Thursday night, we have Kenneth Sparks live from Los Angeles. He is known as Farmer Ken. He's an extraordinary individual with an amazing, amazing story. Matter of fact, he was recommended to me by the wonderful entertainer, Kenny James. Remember when Kenny James was on our show? And he performed live with his son, and then the dog jumped up on his lap. Well, he's good friends with Kenny Sparks, and Farmer Ken is an incredible green thumb, but he takes areas in cities, and he's done it beautifully in Los Angeles, and he has created these extraordinary community gardens, and he has a very moving story to share with us. That's coming up on Thursday night. Farmer Ken, Kenneth Sparks, is going to be with us live for a very special episode of the Jim Masters Show live on Thursday. So Patrick McEnroe is tomorrow night. And then again, if you're watching this on our YouTube channel like a year from now, you can disregard what we're saying and just watch the episodes in the archives. But for those of you watching live, Patrick is tomorrow. Farmer Ken is on Thursday. Oh boy, we're so excited. We have so many incredible guests that are joining us here. I also want to let you know that coming up this weekend too, we have, remember when Marlene Angelides, the wonderful singer and songwriter and performer, was with us? She now goes by Savella. She is with us this Sunday night live on the Jim Masters Show live. That's right. We're going to hear great music. We're going to catch up with her. She was a guest on our show. Marlene Angelides, of course, is her name. She grew up in Greece originally, remember, and then England. And she's here in the United States, of course, where she lives. And she's an incredible performer. She's going to be with us on Sunday night. It's going to be amazing. So is wonderful author Michael Shevek. He's going to be with us as well, live from Los Angeles. He has a wonderful book that he's going to be sharing with us next week. Canadian actor and singer Ryan Silverman's going to be with us. Broadway, off-Broadway, he's done it all. The incredible playwright Giles Howe is going to be with us next week as well. Amazing guests coming up. Love it, love it, love it. And this weekend as well, Rosa O'Reilly is going to be with us. She's 14 years old, and she is incredible. She's been on all the competition shows in Europe, and she's a brilliant singer, songwriter, and performer, and she's a bundle of energy. She is the sister of Keith Harkin, who you know, of course, is a wonderful Irish singer-songwriter and who starred in Celtic Thunder, the group Celtic Thunder, and her cousin. That's his cousin, Rosa, and Keith are cousins. And Keith's sister, Rebecca Harkin, is Rosa's cousin as well. We had Rebecca, another brilliant singer-songwriter, live from Australia. She was on. Rosa is all excited. Rosa is going to be with us this weekend on the Jim Masters Show live. That is on Saturday. So we're looking forward to that. We thank Jim Stanek for joining us here live on the show. And we appreciate all of his time and talent. I was mentioning Carol Burnett, and we want to just say once again, a very happy birthday to our dear friend Carol Burnett. Yes, a gem, not only a comedic icon, but a national treasure. This is Carol Burnett's birthday week. So we wish Carol Burnett a very happy birthday. I had an opportunity to chat with her, and she was brilliant, beautiful, affable, and she's the real deal. What you see on television and movies when it comes to Carol Burnett, there's no ego, there's no airs about her. She is the real deal. She is as wonderful in person as you would hope. You know, sometimes when you meet somebody, you sort of hope they live up to what the expectation is. Carol Burnett does. Love, love, love her. So we wish a very happy birthday to the one and only Carol Burnett, who's celebrating her birthday this week, which is very special and very cool. And we're going to have to create Lovity chairs. That's right. You are so spot on. Gang, we will be back tomorrow. We're going to wrap up. And don't forget to smile. We always say that. Don't forget to smile. Don't forget to share the Lovity. Very important to do that. Don't forget to find your Zen place. My Zen place is always first with loving family and friends. Then I also love the ocean, cycling, tennis, music, writing, all of it. But the ocean, growing up here in the Northeast along the Atlantic Ocean, swimming, surfing, boogie boarding, sailing it, walking it. The ocean calls my name. Also working in television, radio, and stage all these years. That is another Zen place for me. Do what you love and love what you do. And I sure do. And hopefully you do with the work that you do as well. The Jim Masters Show Live, JMS Live, is available for you live, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. But if you miss any episodes, they're all available for you 24/7, 365 on our YouTube channel at Jim Masters TV, including this fantastic episode with Jim Stanek tonight, and Adam Jacobs last night, and the High Kings over the weekend, and Patrick McEnroe tomorrow, and all the great people that we have. Don't forget as well, if you haven't, subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the notification bell so you never miss any of the incredible episodes of the Jim Masters Show Live, so that way you can participate. And also the Masters Mantras series that we have, which is a short visual and verbal videos that I create, providing some inspiration and some other cool content that's on that channel, YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, and some other surprise things that we're working on with that channel as well. Jennifer says, Jim, I dare you should have Aileen Quinn, an original Annie. She has her band now too. Oh, that's cool. I love that. Great idea. Juanita says, great show once more, Jim. Good night, everyone. Kathy Short says, good night, Jim. So glad I got home to see the show. Kathy in Cleveland, you too as well. Thanks for being with us. June, of course, we love you. Good night to you, June. I used to say good night to you in New York City. Now I say good night to you in Greater Baltimore in Maryland. To you, June. June, I'll probably be talking to tonight or tomorrow. We talk often. like a sister from another mother. Mary Bishop, good night all. Take care. And cool stuff. You guys are the best. We really love all of you. And we thank you so much for sharing this evening with us.